Friends, hello. August 27th, 2023, Virtual Strangers, episode 197 is live. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, is my good friend, Ruuts. Happy Sunday, friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. A little tired. Had a long weekend of staying up late and doing things that I probably should have been sleeping instead, but, playing VR, hanging out with the wife, sometimes takes precedent. So we've had a good weekend, but man, I'm feeling it. I need to get some rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I'm feeling it as well, Wes. I had a run-in with a brain, a rogue brain, and I found out what this is side note, but I found out what everybody's raving about Baldur's Gate 3 about.
I knew it. When
And
you said something I didn't know what you were talking about, I was like, Roots must have a new flat game.
Well, this is the thing. And it goes along with because this could easily be in VR, and I hope they would bring it. It's coming to PlayStation 5 in September. But it's a Dungeons and Dragons game, but it does what we've always wanted in a story-based game. Like everything is 100% changed by what you do and who you are. Like even the case of like what I picked they've got like you can make a custom character, which people recommend. You can pick a backstory and all these different things that feed into your story, right? Well, I picked one of the pre-made ones, and he's a vampire, and it's a long story. I won't go into that, but what I thought was cool is like there was a point where we were doing battle, Demio style, right? Because that's what it kind of feels like is how you're doing your battle. Everybody's got their turns, except for you can take your turn at the same time. And so I'm doing my battle, and it's getting out of control. And that's where I was going with that, Wes. But it's the story based. Oh yeah, so in the middle of the fight, I decided it'd be a good idea to feed on one of the enemies, right? Because like I can heal and I can attack at the same time, and I hadn't done it yet, and so I just willy-nilly did it, right? And the companion, I had rescued this chick, and so she was running with us. Like she got so pissed off, one, that I hid it from her, that I was a vampire. Like her response, it was so good in a story-based game. And so like that's the first layer of how you get treated by your race, by what you are. Like different characters reacted differently on biases or whatever. But then as you're making your choices, everything is shifting, and then everybody's seeing you as what your choices are. So I don't know. It's phenomenal story wise. Radio Runt found a brain. We pulled it out of a body, and he decided to stick his thumb in it and lobotomize it, because it was the people's that took us in, that like kidnapped us. It was like a brain from them, and we didn't trust it, and so like it became our pet. And it's good because I have a bad feeling about that brain, Wes. So yeah,
Well, you know who else loves it when you just stick the thumb in?
My mom!
Oh yeah, she does. But yeah, no, it's this is the thing. I can totally see this being in VR. There's no difference. I've been playing it with a controller. It's amazing. It's so far one of the best story based type of games. It like takes that Demio gameplay to the next level, and so much depth to this story. And why not in VR? Hybrid, of course. So.
Well, I'm glad to see that there's some innovation coming, because I mean, it's been literally decades where the majority of innovation in gaming has been, graphical upgrades, right? And we're starting to hit that part where Moore's Law is catching up to us, and it's getting pretty close now to photoreal on the traditional gaming front. So I'm glad to see that some of these studios are being forced to be creative, and diversity in storytelling is a big plus and a big area of opportunity, I feel like, with games going forward. And I think as artificial intelligent NPCs kind of get added into the mix, gaming should look very different uh 5, 6, 7 years from now than what it looks like today.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot deeper as well because I see in the chat it's ironic. A lot of people are raving about No Man's Sky on PlayStation VR2, which they should be because it finally looks amazing. But it's yet another flat game that was brought into VR. It was not built from the ground up. I still think that built from the ground up to me means for the most part, like you're going to get a third of the depth. Now that's changing. It's that's not quite the case as it used to be, but that's really why I want these hybrid games because I think that's what's going to give us at least give me the depth in the gameplay that I want for at least a few years, 5 years maybe, because it takes money to get to Baldur's Gate. Almost 10 years in development, 3 years of early access, and they really, really worked with the community and fine-tuned this game, and that's why it's so good. And that's what it takes to make a really good game. 10 years. Well, most VR studios don't have 10 years to make a game or the money to do it either. So, it's kind of like a chicken before the egg type of scenario. And so hopefully Sony gets these hybrid games out sooner than later. And I know they're working on them. I mean, we've already had a couple. So
Grats EB in the chat says you can play Baldur's Gate 3 with Vorpex. Do people still use Vorpex, Ruuts?
I don't know, man. I got Vorpex. I guess I could try it.
Well, I mean, we should try Reshade first, or I mean, what engine is it developed in? Is it an Unreal game by chance?
I think maybe. Does anybody know if it's Unreal or not? I don't know if it's not or if it is or not, but that would be really cool to play if somebody modded it into VR. If it was able to be modded, it's just cool.
I'm sure there are options available. If you can, if it works in Vorpex, it very, very likely would work with Reshade and Super Depth 3D as well because it uses that same Z buffer, fake 3D to, and I call it fake 3D, passively. It works very well. So yeah, if it works in Vorpex, it most likely works in Reshade as well. And if not, I mean, like you said, we have the Vorpex. We can always bust that thing back out.
That's true.
And dust it off.
Yeah, very true.
But I've been playing some legit 3D, legit VR games this week, Ruuts. I finished 2 games this week, actually. Completed. Green Hell. 17 hours, Ruuts, for me to play through Green Hell VR on my PlayStation VR2. But we got there. We saw the end. We found our lady. I'm not going to ruin the story, but we figured out what happens. It's not what you think, Ruuts. It's not what you think is going to happen.
Really? I thought she was going to run away with this whole tribe. She's cheating on me with the whole tribe. It's crazy.
Oh, it's a lot crazier than you ever you could even conceive of. It's kind of nuts what happens in that game. But I enjoyed it. It was very good, and for all the criticism that we had of Green Hell VR, the condition of the port on PlayStation VR, all that stuff aside, it kept me for 17 hours until I saw the end of it. So apparently, whatever kind of issues it have must not be that game breaking, or I wouldn't have kept going with it, right?
Right. Well, and you said you really were into the story, or you really were into the game and wanted to finish it. You don't finish many games, or we in general don't. Just because we're moving on game to game, right? So,
also finished The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution this week as well.
Did you skip? Did you push through it because it was the same as the first game? No, just kidding. No. I saw somebody said that about in the Discord. Asked that question, and I don't. Yeah. Even though it does kind of seem more like a DLC in general, like you had said that it's the same type of gameplay. It's a whole new story. So why would you want to rush through it, right?
Yeah, well, right. And I found myself when I stream that game that I do kind of push through it a little bit more than I would, had I not been streaming. I tend to scavenge a little more, take my time a little bit more when I'm not on stream. So I played, I streamed. I guess when I was streaming, I was a little past halfway through the game. But since then, I've been playing it pretty regularly, and I couldn't tell you exactly how many hours it took me to finish it, but I think it probably took me as long or longer to finish that game as it did Green Hell. So
Wow.
we're talking 15, 20 hours in that one, and really loved it, man. A great, great game. Better than the first one. There are some things the first game does better. There are a few bugs uh, that are present in the sequel that weren't present in the first one, but nothing game breaking. Everything that you can kind of work around. And my biggest complaint was that there were a few things that didn't quite make sense with the structure of the second half of the game and the story. But at the end of the day, the added depth that the sequel has, with the more maps, the bigger maps, the increased crafting and progression, the different multiple storylines. You got 3 different threads going on at all times. The increased cast of characters that are involved with the main narrative, all of that stuff. I mean, it's very much a 1.5, right? It's the core gameplay loop is the same as the first game. It's exactly the same. But that added depth, that added scope of the game, I feel like makes it slightly better than the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I agree. I definitely I haven't finished it, but if everything you're saying is true, which I believe you, yeah, that's definitely got a lot more going on than the first one. Even just the fact that there's 3 different things going on, 3 different storylines, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all converge, and then toward the game, you start kind of checking those boxes off in the ways that you would pretty much assume that they would. I'm not going to get too specific, but it turns out how it always turns out. But no, I really dug it. There were a few things that kind of annoyed me. All right, I guess this is kind of a mild spoiler, but it's not. It's not anything. It's not a story spoiler, so don't worry about that.
Oh.
But you kind of you're working your way up to this ultimate showdown with the big bad in the game, right? And then as time goes on, these side storylines kind of play themselves out, and you get past those, and then all that's left is kind of go deal with the remaining threat, and then the game forces you to spend 3 days scavenging in preparation. And it doesn't matter. You could have all the resources in the world that you need. It doesn't matter. The game forces you, it gives you objectives in your task list to just scavenge for 3 days. And I guess if you want to, if you have the knowledge that I'm now giving everyone, you can just keep drinking and sleeping through those 3 days, but it makes you do it. And it's annoying because I didn't know, if there was something I had to go out there and find, or if it was just, if there were certain things that were going to happen with the story during these days. So I played it out, man. I went and actually did the scavenging, and it turns out you don't need any of that. It just makes you do it for no reason. And I go into the last level with my backpack filled with all of my best shit.
I'm ready to go. Don't need it.
Don't need it. I mean, I ended up dying, and when you die, it puts your backpack where you can go back and get it. Only when I died, there was this glitch that made me fall under the map. So my backpack was literally left under the surface of the ground
with all your best shit.
With all my best shit.
Oh,
but
man.
I still ended up beating the level just using shit that I found along the way. Like they load the last level up with so much stuff, weapons and food and medicine, and everything that you need is in the level. So not only do you not need the shit that's in your backpack, but that 3 days of scavenging was all for nothing because everything you need is already in the last level.
That's crazy. Yeah, well, I don't consider this a spoiler. I call this a PSA warning so that you don't waste your time. Wes just saved people's time And all the
Just
people
sleep
that
through
are
that.
like, no spoilers here. Well, Brandon, I hope you enjoy your
Right.
your 3 days of scavenging, bro. You're gonna wish you would have listened. That's funny. No Man's Sky. So people are saying it's top tier, top 3 games on PlayStation VR2 now. We had a chance
It
to check
might
out.
be. Well, we're gonna talk about that in a moment. It's kind of the top of our headlines, but yeah, I keep hearing this from multiple different sources that No Man's Sky is supposedly pretty legit now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But before we did that, I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. First of all, have you seen these smart contact lenses, Roots? Like, and you can see it here in this headline. It says scientists working on smart contacts powered by human tears. And I brought this article into today's show notes, not because I wanted to specifically talk about these smart contacts, but because this article validates a prediction that we've made many times on this program, both Roots and myself. And Roots, we've said it for a long time now that we think that all of the technology of the future will be powered by human tears. And this just goes to show that we were right all along, Roots.
Yeah, I think there's not a week that goes by that we didn't say that, right? Tears are the,
Yeah.
you know, they run everything.
Well, it's a stepping stone, right? It's a stepping stone. Like the next period, the next big technology innovation will be to run everything on human tears, but that's just a stepping stone to the ultimate when it all runs off of human blood.
Yeah, I can't wait for that for sure because we got plenty of that. We don't even have to cry for it; it just comes flowing out all the time. Just cut somebody, got more blood.
Yeah.
What's crazy about this to me is just the fact that the idea that you could put a contact in. We see it in movies and stuff, right? And I would submit this technology's some of it's been around longer, and they're just like slowly feeding it to us. But I just think it's cool. I mean, what are you gonna do? How much cooler could it be to have an actual contact, and not only for just AR, but VR in general, right? So maybe it just changes. I guess it just changes everything, and you're just seeing what it's showing you. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I just brought it in here for the joke. I didn't even read this article, but I thought that technology, the idea of technology that runs off of human suffering, was just a funny premise. So
Yeah, and it's
we did our
very
best we could.
it makes sense with the AI taking over. Like they're gonna run us to. They want to make us cry, right? So maybe
Brandon said, "Did we get show notes this week?" I think so.
they're up
Oh, I
there.
must not have. I must not have posted them. Oh,
Mm.
okay. So I logged in to Patreon to post the notes, and noticed that we lost a patron, and I pivoted straight off of that to update the outro, and then I never went back and posted the show notes. So thank you for reminding me, Brandon. I'm going to post it right now, actually.
Okay. Well, people said the Baldur's Gate 3 is in the Divinity 4. It's not the Unreal. So maybe Luke Ross or somebody will bring it in. It'd be cool, man. Because I mean, if you're using like keyboard and mouse, you're point and clicking, your guy's running. But if you're using your controller, I think it'd be really cool in virtual reality.
Everything is better in virtual reality, bro. Everything.
Yeah, what the bat for sure. I think what the golf probably is better flat. They should have left. That's the one exception. Leave that series out of VR, and you're good. Hey, what's up, Z Storm VR? He says he's having a blast
Z?
playing Firewall.
Yeah, me too, man. We need to get in there and play some together, man. We I haven't played it a ton yet. Probably I don't know 7 or 8 hours in the game thus far, but agreed, man. I'm having a blast with it. All of these problems that people are having seem to be happening in public matches, which I've barely played. I've played just a little bit, maybe 45 minutes to an hour in public matches. The rest of it's all been private, and everything has worked very well and been very fun. So let's get in and play sometime, Z.
What a bummer for them to like that. Like you said on our stream, that's a pretty big thing for a multiplayer, right? So hopefully they get that fixed ASAP because we've seen a lot of IPs have issues because of this. Now, granted, this has got a very big following, So, I don't think they're going to struggle, but it'd be nice to get fixed.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, Firewall, the original one, had its same kind of jank, especially in the early days, but they ended up ironing most of that out pretty quickly. And this, in theory, should turn out to be a lot better because unlike the original Firewall, which was the matches were hosted locally by whoever started the lobby, they actually have dedicated servers for this one. And that should, in theory, lead to a lot more stability with the matches.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. So.
But yeah, Lethal Weasel VR. That's my handle, Z. Friend me if we're not already friends, and let's firewall it up. I want to get back in there with you some too, Roots. I know you don't particularly like that kind of game as much as the other type of like multiplayer shooters, but I feel like we need to spend some more time on the Xfield mode, the PVE mode, because we only got to play that one match in it, and I think you'll like that a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to get back in there, or get in there with Mash as well. Well, maybe we can do that when he gets back. It seems like he's always gone. Mash, you need to come home, bro. We miss you.
He don't love us anymore.
Yeah, you don't love us anymore, bro. Come on, Mash.
Come on,
Z-Storm says that the aim down the sight button has started to grow on me for this particular game with how tactical it feels. Yeah, it's interesting, man, because most of the people are just shitting on it right out of hand, but I'm noticing a lot of this now where people who didn't like it so much at first are kind of getting used to using it now and like it better after they get used to it.
Who was it that we were, maybe it was you, I can't remember. Somebody in our group was like saying they didn't like it. And then Alex VR kind of, or maybe it was you, or somebody explained exactly what was happening, right? I think it was Alex, and how you can like snap to it. And then they're like, they saw it, the light bulb came on. They were like, oh, and then they said they loved it. I think that's what's happening. I think most people don't quite understand exactly what's going on. And some people like Scion believe that it's for noobs, and I guess it definitely makes things easier, right? Because you can snap that thing. It's unique. It's another unique feature that does not exist in any other fire shooter that I've nothing with your eye tracking, right? So
yeah, and I think a lot of the hate that's coming from it, and kind of the perspective that Scion is looking at it in, is the kind of perspective of the hardcore VR gamer perspective. Firewall isn't a typical VR game, and the best way that I can kind of think of to describe it, Firewall is a flat game that can only be played in VR. I think it's the best way to kind of describe it, because it's meant purposefully to kind of mimic these Rainbow Six Siege type games and bring that into VR. So, you get the benefit of aiming down your sights and the presence in the world and being able to hide behind cover. But it still plays like a flat game with the button presses and kind of, having a grenade arc instead of throwing it yourself. It's not a game that hardcore VR people are going to appreciate as much, but I think there's a lot of people in the PlayStation community specifically that really dig this sort of thing, and that's myself included. Like, none of the button press stuff bothered me in the least. I actually kind of like the idea of being able to use a gun stock like an aim controller.
Right.
And just put my controllers in there and leaving them,
Oh, well, shocker for anybody watching this. Button pressing doesn't bother me either. That's why I think taking a flat game, hybrid, and having the exact same controls for any game can work and will work. It's like every game doesn't have to be uniform. You can have different things. I remember the first time Dying Light came out and they used the LB and the RB to climb and jump and stuff. And I was like, parkour. And I thought, wow, this is weird. And then within like maybe 20 minutes, I thought, whoa, my God, I wish every game did this. And this is what people are forgetting. You're mentioning the grenades, okay? Yeah, I'm not throwing a grenade, but you show me one VR game where I can actually aim and throw the trajectory with my eyes. It's a trade-off. You're not physically throwing your grenade, but there's so many different unique things that are happening in that game, that it makes it different and it makes it special. So
let me ask you this, Ruuts. When you're in a VR game, and I don't mean like Firewall, but in a general VR shooter, when you go to throw your grenade, how often do you throw it right where you want it to be anyway? Like
0.
Normally the throwing in these games really sucks most of the time, doesn't it?
95% of the time, it doesn't feel right. You're throwing it. I can't even think of a game where I would definitively say, oh yeah, grenades feel amazing. And so what this allows you to do is you can direct exactly where it's going, and you're using your eyes to track it. And then just, I don't know. This is what I was thinking too, for all the people that don't want to push buttons. Well, your trigger is a button. Your grip is a button. Like, you're trading off. It's semantics, right? Like, it's an acceptable button for you, but it's not. Other buttons aren't acceptable. And I would submit that a lot of these people and the way that they act about controls, and they're really holding VR back. They're the reason we don't have all these hybrids that could actually be pushing VR further, quicker. And so I just think people need to.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, it's all your
fuckers.
I think I said that one time, and then I was like, oh, maybe that's not right. But this is the thing. It's like people just kind of need to ease up and understand that, we're gonna go through phases, and the sooner we allow these phases to happen, the sooner we start getting these really deep, rich, amazing, built from the ground up VR games that are gonna take hundreds of millions of dollars and 10 years to build. So.
Yeah, not every game's for everybody, and the more options that we have to accommodate the more play styles, the better. And for what it's worth, like with the grenade thing specifically, like there's a lot that I don't like about how they integrated eye tracking into Firewall, but there are two things that I really do like. One of them is the grenade throwing, and the other one is the weapon select. I like the eye tracking for the weapon select, and I feel like as I get more experience in the game, that's going to just become something that you're doing without even thinking about it.
Let me ask you about this. Void was saying, he said something about the grenades are eye track grenades are janky. And when I was watching D, she was having problems with it as well, but I didn't. And so I don't know, like for me, it was working really well. Exactly where I was looking, it was the circle was going right there, and it was moving. So
yeah, it worked perfectly for me as well. What I would do, I would check out two things. First of all, I haven't tested this myself, but I have had some people say to me that when they bring their controller back to like do a throwing motion with it, that it could mess the arc up when you're holding your hand too high. So try to keep it in front of you and just kind of look where you want it to go. That's how I did it, and it worked perfectly every time. The other thing I would say is if you're having trouble with it not going where it's supposed to, or the arc not going where you're looking, just take a moment and go calibrate your eye tracking again. I've read on a couple of forums that kind of solved the problem for some people. So,
well, and I think you're right, because this is why I theorized, and we haven't verified it yet. So usually the way we have my PS5 downstairs in both of the headsets, and she'll just switch our headsets out whenever each of us are playing. And so it's calibrated to my eyes, but it was with her headset. And you know what I mean? So it's still calibrated, even though it's her headset, it's still through the PS5 calibrated. I would imagine that's how it works. So I don't know.
Yeah, it takes a half a second. You just press the PlayStation button on your right controller, go to the PSVR 2 settings. It's all the way to the left, and it's like the second or third option on there. It just takes a second. You can do it from in-game, and yeah, maybe that will
fix it,
resolve your issues.
There was a second article, right?
Yeah. Well, I just thought we would go ahead and build up a little bit more hype around the Quest 3. because as if on schedule routes, just a few weeks now ahead of Oculus Connect or Meta Connect or whatever they're calling it these days, we have an unboxing video making its rounds around the internet routes, and not a whole lot really to say about this in terms of new information. Like it looks like we assumed it would. I do like the sleek controllers; they look nice and sexy. Um, but we do get a little bit of information here because it has been spotted that there is a lens distancing adjustment on it. So you can, there's actually a slider to get the lenses closer to your eyes or more further away, which I thought was a pretty cool thing.
That is a really cool thing because what that allows you to do is get your FOV, especially if you can angle the headset, which we do. A lot of people do with the Quest Pro, and get it like angled up on the back of your head more, and then bring the lenses really close. You can get a really good FOV. Some people say even better than some of the best FOVs out there, like the Index. So,
yeah, you know, reading most articles that talk about this new feature, most of them are kind of assuming that it's just there for people who use eyeglasses. But I can say specifically that for some of us, this is going to allow us a clarity adjustment. And the reason why I say that was because when I first got my Quest 2, I kept noticing a lot of streamers, and it's almost like God rays, but they didn't manifest themselves in the way that typical God rays manifest, and they really were very noticeable, and it was almost to the point where it was unusable for me because of all the distortion in the picture. And what eventually came to realize was that the lenses were just a little bit too close to my eyes. And the way I resolved that is I actually took the eyeglass spacer that comes in the box, and I put the eyeglass spacer on, and all of a sudden after that. So this adjustment for some of us is going to allow us to get a little bit of additional clarity, and I think it's a pretty cool thing to have in there for eyeglasses users or for those of us who don't use eyeglasses. I think it's just a nice addition um, to what the package that they had already established with Quest 2.
you know who loves a nice addition to the package, Wes?
My mom!
Yeah, she does, and that's pretty much any addition. Yeah, no, that's good. For sure. Trying to find out, where do you find your requests or like friend things on PlayStation? If somebody sent you a friend request.
So the easy way to do it is just check your notifications. Anytime someone sends you a friend request, you can just go to the little bell, and you'll get there'll be a notification in there, and you can just click
Oh, I
on
see
that, and
down
it'll
there. Okay.
send you to where you need to go. But besides that, I mean, there's different ways you can do it. Typically, you go to the little smiley face block that I think that's the friends icon, and it puts you into a series of menus. You can find it in there. I use the PlayStation app on my phone,
I'm on
and
I'm on the website right now. I just don't kind of.
so you're like on the PC website.
Yeah, just because I don't. My PlayStation's downstairs, and I'm just
I'm
trying
not
to.
sure. I'll take a quick peek at it here. I'm not sure how to get to it from PC.
Somewhere in here.
Let me see. I'm bringing it up. All right. So sign in.
What is PlayStation Stars? I don't know. That's a good question.
All right. So I'm going to click on account settings and see if we can find it from the settings.
I'm doing this for you, Z Storm. He told me I didn't have. I didn't accept his friend request.
Settings,
I haven't looked at those for a long
profile.
time.
Continue. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I don't see it in this.
I'll do it.
I'm
I'll
not
do it
quite
after.
sure who.
I'll get you Z-Storm after, I promise. I do want to hang out and play some Firewall Ultra. And maybe some of the new game coming out. The Crossfire. Sierra
Oh
Squad.
yeah, that's coming out this week as well, right? On Tuesday.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah,
Can't wait
definitely
to
going to
try
be
it.
down for some co-op shooters for the next little bit. Think about that for a minute, man. PlayStation VR 1 um, didn't have much in terms of competitive first-person shooters, but here we are, like literally a half a year into the beginning of PSVR 2. And now we've already got Pavlov, we've got Firewall, now we're getting Crossfire Sierra Squad. D-Day Enhanced is coming, Alvo is coming. So, yeah, within the first year, PSVR 2 is going to in a pretty big way, surpass what this genre had to offer on PSVR 1. It's
You know
pretty
why that
awesome.
is, right? I mean, because they didn't the aim controller like that gave access to actual locomotion. Without it, you couldn't do a game like this, right?
Yep.
For the most part, and a lot of games I don't know if they didn't have access to it or didn't use it or what, or if it was just going to be too much of a pain to move it over. But having the same type of controls, right, just opens everything up. And of course, that now
Yeah.
every dev wants to go there because that's the next big thing. So
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, having controller parity is a huge thing. Having a button structure that's similar to the other major VR controllers, and also the support for OpenXR makes porting a lot easier. So yeah, absolutely. Going to make a huge difference, and already is making a huge difference.
Z-Storm says he's trying to decide if he buys it on the PSVR2 or the PC VR. And if I'm being honest, my thoughts are the same way because do I want haptics and adaptive triggers, or do I want clarity, or do I get both on the PlayStation VR2? Right? Because for me,
That's
it's
true.
the Quest Pro just looks so good. Everything wants to lean that way, but if the game looks phenomenal on the PlayStation VR2, I'm going to lean that way because of the haptics and the adaptive triggers. So
Well, hold on just a second here. I don't know exactly what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say about this. So, my well, obviously Z Storm's probably not going to want to wait. We're going to be covering this Friday,
hmm.
and we'll be able to tell you then, um,
Which one's definitive?
which one's definitive. Um, hold on. I need to check something in my email because there's something I want to say here, but I don't know if it's public knowledge
All right.
or
Well,
not.
while you look it up, Z-Storm says, for me, it's recording, streaming, and comfort. My index is way comfier, but it's much lower resolution. And from that standpoint, Z-Storm and Sony, listen, pay attention. I say go PC, bro. Like, you're a streamer. Sony doesn't support streamers. Like, they don't want you streaming from their platform or streaming it to Twitch or YouTube with an app on there. You don't get to look at your fucking chat. That's it. That I really dislike this, Wes, because I have thought about streaming games a couple of times, and every time I don't, that's my deciding factor. I don't want to stream a game and have to look at my phone or look every once in a while. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it. I refuse to do it, and it sucks because there's games that I want to play and stream. So.
There are ways to work around that, but you have to kind of put the work in to set it up. So, yeah, I feel you there. So what I wanted to say here, and it is public knowledge here. So, Z-Storm, what I would do if I were you is play on the platform that your friends are playing on, because while this game will eventually support cross-platform play, it will not support cross-platform on launch. So wherever your friends are playing, that's where you're going to want to buy your copy of Crossfire.
Right.
And I would imagine that most likely most people are going to be playing on PlayStation. But I don't know. don't know. I would poll your friends and find out.
Or buy both. Then you have the best of both worlds. How cool is it of the devs to actually put that out there? A lot of devs try to hide that and that type of stuff, and they're just saying, "Hey, look, this isn't a feature that's coming. It's not ready, but it's going to be there in the future." And I think that, to me, that that deserves respect. In 2023, there's just too many devs that try to hide shit, and I don't like it. So
yeah, no, the devs have been great. Shout out Fred. Fred's been awesome, and he was very forthcoming when I was talking to him a couple of days ago about this very thing. But I'm glad that it wasn't like secret knowledge. It was, that's why I was afraid to talk about it, because I didn't know if that had been announced yet. But yeah, they put it out there a few days ago on Steam. So
yeah, that's good. Like Z-Storm says, I respect it as well. So.
But yeah, we'll be covering this title on Strangers of the Night this week. We will have comparisons between the PlayStation and the Steam version of the game. So if you haven't already, be sure to click the subscribe button and ring the bell, because a lot more to come on Crossfire.
Yep.
Anyways, with that big long ass intro out of the way, we should probably get the show underway and say hello to our friends in chat. Techno Glitch is here. Bacardi B, what's up? Z Storm, we already said hello to. Ryan Brandon is here. Shades of Gray Matter, what's up? Shades. Excuse me. Techno Glitch is here. What's up, old Darth? Good to see you. Scott, the PSVR Game Cat for life. Bacardi B is here. Mr. Tortoise is here. I like turtles.
Just don't kiss them, Wes. I just was reading just a little while ago that the CDC is telling people to mask up and not to kiss their pet turtles. So just a PSA, if you're kissing your pet turtle, you're doing it wrong. And I didn't even know that you could do it wrong. So
you know who says that you can't do it wrong?
My mom!
She's also kissing a turtle too, if you know what I mean.
That's true. Onakaze is here. What's up? Awesome Tatum. What's up? Scion. Can we swap eye tracking for the spacer adjustment? Yeah, I know, right? That would be great. Yeah, it makes you feel like, well, you know, on the one hand, I want to sit here and say it's going to make Quest 3 seem dated without having the eye tracking. But on the other hand, I mean, these Quests have had a 2-year generation span. So there'll be another one before you know it that has the eye tracking.
Quest 3 Pro. You're hearing it here, right? So.
Hussein X.
Spry says she always tells me I'm doing it wrong.
She just wants you to try harder, man. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Philozix is here. What up? Mickey Barrios. Hola, Mickey. Thank you for joining us. Space Denison. What's up? Who else is here? Jason Westmus is here. Rogue TR is here. What's up, Rogue? Scrolling. We should start doing roll call a lot earlier. Ruuts.
I talked to Jim Hall. I need to get him. He needs to give you that thing that he gave D that just pulls that list, and then you can just pull it right before you go down and just read the list as it is. And anybody that slides in, you missed it, dude. Like, you missed the roll call.
You know who else likes to pull it right before they go down?
My mom!
She does. She loves it.
And it slides right in.
And it slides right in real easy.
Alexander Ritter is here. What's up, Alex? Good to see you. Chi-Town D. What's up, D? Who else is here? Bad Robo's here. EV Man versus Gas is here. Looper, the Underground Game Cat, is here. Looper asked, "Did I pay attention to the I Love My Mom poster?" Yes, I did see that. There's in The Walking Dead 2 Retribution, there are these I Love New York posters hanging up in the tower, and one of them's been altered by like graffiti to make it say "I love my mom," which I want to believe that was Tiffany giving us a shout out. So thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Who else is here? Mepper's here. What's up, Mepper?
Philozix wants to know when the Quest 5 is coming out. I'd say about 4 years.
Yeah,
At this rate.
Good guess.
Yeah.
Emiliano Filaberte. Welcome. Chatty's here. What's up, Chatty? Mind Jive is here. Hello. Assassin 32 VR is here. Radio Runt, Idaho is here. Drats EB with us, as is It's Free VR Real Estate. Lee VR is here. Silver Nexus is here as well. Zaylen Maru is here. VR SpryGuy is here. Happy birthday, Spry. Mind Jive is here. Hooked Worm, the Hoosier Game Cat, is here. Says, "What's up, strangers? Stoked for the show." I'm stoked to be here, man. Who else? Who else is here? Anyone else here? Gabriel 004, the license to Meow Game Cat. What up? Not sure Brondo is here. Ryan B is here. Paul Friedman is here. Four Wheeling is here as well. And I do believe that is as far up as I can go. If I missed you, I apologize. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Did we have any Slippies, Ruuts?
We might have had some Slippies. I don't see. I can't tell.
Like Dead Ringer, the Game Cat, sliding in there.
Dead
Ringer says Dead Ringer says, "Smash the like button, Tarzan."
I did see Mr. Task come in as well, and he said the same thing. He told everybody to smash that like button, yo.
Smash the like button, Tarzan. People like to make fun of Tarzan all these months later, Ruuts.
Well, it was a little rough, but I love the developer.
The Game Cat Cowboy Dan. There's a Slippy. Natty, what's up? There's another one. Is Jenna here? I see people tagging Je ne sais quoi, although I didn't see her name.
Somebody said, "Yeah, did you call Jenna and say happy birthday?" Is this her real birthday, or is this a Spry birthday? That's what I want to know.
Rex BKO9 sliding in. Happy birthday, Jenna, if it's your birthday. Gustavo Barandas is here as well. What's up, Gustavo? Thank you for making your presence known. Mr. Tasselhoff is here. We always miss you, Tasselhoff. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you till now. What's up, Taz? Anyway, we're going to call it there. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Welcome. Ruuts, we have a lot. I mean, like a lot of stuff to talk about today. So why don't we get the show underway? No Man's Sky now looks beautiful on PlayStation VR2. This is from mixednews.com. No Man's Sky now supports foveated rendering on PlayStation VR2, and that is literally a game changer. No Man's Sky was already available for the first PlayStation VR, but in extremely low resolution. When Hello Games announced an improved version for PSVR2, anticipation was high. After all, the game could now take advantage of the PS5 and the latest technology of the new headset. Much to the disappointment of many fans, No Man's Sky remained a blurry affair on PSVR2. In fact, a recent analysis of the render resolution of various PSVR2 games revealed that No Man's Sky occupied the lower end of the resolution scale of all the games examined. The anniversary update called Echoes changes that. The VR version now supports the PlayStation VR2's foveated rendering, a unique technical feature of the device that can't be found in any other consumer VR headset. With foveated rendering, only the area of the display that the user is currently looking at is rendered in high resolution and detail, without the user even noticing. This saves a lot of processing power that can be used to visually enhance the focused area of the image. The difference is like night and day, according to the fans on the PSVR2 Reddit. Quote, ranks up there as one of the better looking games on the system now. Not Red Matter 2 levels of polish, but not too far off. Yep, looks as crisp as the PCVR version with a 3080. When looking at the stars, for example, before it looked super generic, like slightly blurry balls rather than stars. But now it actually looks like tiny little sparkling stars covering the whole sky. This article then shows one of Brian's tweets from Twitter. Brian says, I'm absolutely blown away by how amazing No Man's Sky looks on PSVR 2 now. Fantastic update. It's beautiful. Hello Games has also fixed a number of VR-related issues and introduced a significant number of rendering optimizations for VR on all platforms. Accordingly, the PC version will also benefit from the update, albeit to a lesser extent. And I believe that is the end of the article. This is kind of blindsided everyone, Ruuts. We all kind of expected that this update would come and that the resolution blurriness problem would get resolved. But I don't think anyone was expecting just how big of an improvement this patch would be.
No, not this patch. This is the thing. We all knew it's Hello Games. We knew eventually they were going to get it fixed, right? What blew me away is it took this long, because we thought PlayStation 5, it was going to fix it on the PSVR 1, and it didn't. And then we thought that PlayStation 5 with PSVR 2 was going to fix it when it came out, and then it didn't. And they've had several patches, and it almost has became a joke. It's like every time a patch just came out, like Radio Run, even yesterday, whispered me and said, oh, the patch is out. Today could be the day. And I said, yeah, well, maybe. But like you said, nobody thought it would look this good. But I guess with foveated rendering, we should have known it was going to, right? And the question for me is, did it take so long? And I guess at this point it's fixed, so it doesn't really matter. But like, why is nobody else using it? There's not many people or developers utilizing it, right? Like, if you can make your game look this much better, why would you not? That should be you have the hardware there. Use it. I don't know. Should be number one.
And it can't be super complicated either, because we know that Funktronic Labs, within 6 weeks of launching the Light Brigade, had implemented it on their game and got it working. And that's a dev team with 3 people on it. So if those guys can figure it out and implement it effectively, then anyone should be able to do that.
Right. I think the developers owe it to us as consumers. Like, make your game good. Like, do like Hello Games and utilize the hardware. Use the foveated rendering. and don't set yourself up to fail. Some of these developers, there's amazing developers out there, but there's so many out there that just want to give us the bare minimum. And like for instance, Green Hell, the game that you just played through, really good. You really enjoyed your time. How much better would it have been, or will it be, if they use foveated rendering and they can make it look that much better? Like, it should be a no-brainer to me. So
Yeah, if you're going to support PSVR 2, support PSVR 2, right? Don't just give us a weak port with the bare minimum. People bought into this headset for the foveated rendering, for the haptics, for the adaptive triggers. Use this stuff. Make your game next level.
right.
And if I get that it takes a while, but take that time. Don't put out a crappy version and then come back 3 months later with the patch. Now that everyone's drugged your game's name through the mud, just hold it, and we'd rather wait for the game than wait for a patch.
Right.
So yeah,
like that's one of the things people in general in the gaming world are raving about Baldur's Gate 3 is it's like actually a complete game. And how sad is that statement? Like the fact that people are excited that developers put out a complete game. That should be every fucking time. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't be waiting. They shouldn't be releasing something that's not finished. And I know that there's reasons for it, but like I said, as a consumer, that's not my problem. My deal is to consume, to play the game. Is on you as the devs to make sure it gets out in the time frame that it needs to be out and that it's complete.
Yes.
And if it's not, then I'm going to tell people that it sucks if I play it.
This I feel like is the biggest downside of the move away from physical games.
Right.
Because back when you bought a game and there were no like downloads or patches or anything like that, it had to be perfect when they launched it because there was no going back and fixing it. And I feel like this is probably the most significant downside of a move to all digital is that now we give these studios an eraser that just works forever. And they often use that as a fallback. And most studios now are launching games a year earlier than they typically would have.
Right.
To the detriment of the consumer.
And Tatum says he totally agrees. Don't take my money and then make me a beta tester. And that's what it's became. And that's why I do respect Larian Games for Baldur's Gate 3 so much, because they came out after 6 years of development and they put out the first chapter in early access for people that bought the game early access. And for 3 years, they fine-tuned the game, and then they finally released it in 2023 in a complete state. And that's what devs should do. And like Onikazi says, I guess this is the biggest thing. They were working with their own engine for No Man's Sky, so it took a longer to fix it. And the bottom line is they did. And that's kind of a little bit different than what we're saying in this particular instance, because they did the game already exists, so they didn't really release the game in a, I guess they really did release it in a broken state, but that was a long time ago. So I don't know. It's just crazy. But
anyways, it's a pretty incredible update. The fact that Brian is giving it that kind of praise is telling, because Brian's stance on No Man's Sky has always been the same as mine. Like, it's just not the type of game that I'm typically into. But the fact that he went into it and is really praising it says a lot. And then there's Radio Runt, Ruuts. Radio Runt hasn't been exactly outspoken in favor of PSVR 2 these last few months. In fact, quite the opposite. Anytime he has anything to say about it, it's about how there isn't much that interests him on it, or not much that he's been very impressed with. Radio Runt this week on our Discord has come out multiple times and said that PSVR 2 is the way to play No Man's Sky, that it's better on PlayStation VR 2 than it is even on PC. And I think that's pretty high praise.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is the difference between, like, because Red Matter's kind of the same way in a way, I guess. The graphics are the same. Like the difference is the foveated rendering, right? The games that are using the foveated rendering, it's a game changer. You know, nobody's using it on my Quest Pro or for the Quest Pro because there's not many. There's not the adoption rate just isn't there, right? But everybody that has a PSVR2 has eye tracking, and so like it makes sense to me to utilize the Tobii eye tracking that's in there. So
So in addition to this major graphical update, there's a pretty substantial content update as well in this update called Echoes. Gameplay wise, the Echoes update focuses on space combat. You can now divert power to engines, shields, or weapons, and enormous pirate dreadnoughts have been added to bring huge space battles to the game. Defend fleets from pirates, fly through enemy trenches to sabotage their shields and destroy them. Echoes also introduces a new long hidden race of robots. Taking part in robot assignments earns mechanical parts for your own robotic avatar. Other notable changes include allowing travelers to search for, trade, and scrap weapons to become multi-tool scrap merchants. So, Ruuts, we've covered No Man's Sky dozens of times on this channel throughout the history, and it always comes down to the same question. Is this update enough to make you pick No Man's Sky back up and give it another look?
I think it is. I was looking at used copies from GameStop for like $25-$30 or something. And I think D has it, so I can play it that way as well. But you know, I've tried to play it in VR on PlayStation VR1, and it was just not. I think it was just not. It's too blurry. And the performance on PC is even now today is just not the best. And so yeah, I think this is it. Because not only that, like we were saying between the during the trailer, the gameplay alone of this update looks intriguing. Not only the graphics, right? So,
right. Yeah, I've got 2 copies of it actually. Too bad you're not closer. I'll just let you borrow. I've got two physical copies. I picked them up for like $5 a piece. Right after they announced that No Man's Sky was coming to PlayStation VR, like I went and got them from GameStop on clearance for like $5. But no, I agree with you. I would like to get back in and check out No Man's Sky, and I was going to suggest that maybe we do that for this Friday. But if you don't have a copy of the game, I mean, there are ways. I mentioned to you off the air that there are ways that you and D can share your libraries. It's pretty easy to set up if you wanted to do that.
I've her profiles on my PlayStation 5 downstairs, so I could play it.
Oh, it's already there?
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, we both use the same PlayStation 5. I mean, hers just sits up there not being used anyway.
Well, that's great. Most of the work's done. All she has to do is toggle a setting in her settings, just flip one switch, and then all of her games would show up in your library.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's do it.
So maybe we cover No Man's Sky this week. We'll do Crossfire Sierra Squad. We'll do No Man's Sky Echoes. And then if we need a third title, we can go back to the one we were going to do last week, War of Being on Steam.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I was I played through almost the whole thing, and then Wes is like, yeah, we're going to have to drop this. And I was like, oh, man. This was in there for like a couple hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we wanted to make the show all about Firewall this week, and it would have been a lot more work to add that one title in. So
I agree.
We'll get back to it this week, especially since you've already played it. Then it makes sense for us to kind of fall back around to it.
Yeah.
AJ joining us in chat. He heard us talking about No Man's Sky, and his nose started itching, and he says it's amazing.
Well, I'll tell you what,
AJ?
The chat was talking about his reaction about how much he loved it, right? So.
Well, it's fun. I mean, it's predictable. AJ's probably likes No Man's Sky more than anybody I've ever met. And literally, when I saw that he was streaming on my feed the other day, I literally heard AJ's voice in my head say, "It looks amazing, you guys." And then I clicked on it and it was just like an echo. It's like, as soon as it popped up, "It's amazing, you guys."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's probably, well, it's not even probably, it's the best looking, deepest game. Like, that's a game you could sink hundreds of hours into, right? I think Radio Runt said he's sank like a couple hundred, 200-300 hours, 400 maybe, he said, into that game. That's crazy.
I think that's a lot of the reason why I don't play it more, is because that intimidates me, Roots. Like, that's a lot of time that I don't have to spend on one game. So a lot of times, when something that daunting is presented to me, I just, avoid it altogether.
It just happens though quickly. Like, I just spent 120 some hours in Remnant 2. We did beat it on veteran level, which is, it was fucking crazy. Yeah, no, it's good games definitely suck you in, and I think you probably should be worried about this game because there's just so much to it. How many updates have we talked about, different things that they've released in there? There's so much to this game now.
There's been one every other month, I feel like, since it launched. Like, there's a significant content update about every 2 months on this game.
Do you agree with SpryGuy? Says it might be time for Hello Games to start working on a new game, which I think they probably are.
Because like we've talked about many times before, I don't think that it would be that big of a pivot to turn a game like No Man's Sky into literally the best game ever. But there are some significant things that are missing from it that you can't just add in a patch. It would take a sequel. And I don't want to, go have that same discussion that we've had a million times. But yeah, I agree. I think it's time for them at least to start laying some of that groundwork for the next big title from them. And obviously it's going to take many years to get there, but hopefully they're already working on that.
Well, this could have been somewhat of a side project all this time. I mean, once they've gotten it laid out and they've just been doing updates and improvements, but they're really working on something else with another team or their main team, right? So who knows?
AJ says, yeah, the updates visuals really surprise me. Well, I can't wait to check it out, man. To be honest, when I hear people get this excited about an update, even if, it's not like a game that I'm super into, I love the tech and I love to get in there and just check it out and see what the advancements are. So yeah, tune in this Friday. We will be discussing No Man's Sky Echoes on PSVR 2.
You need to check out and you probably will, from the very beginning, actually build your ship and fly it, take off from the planet. That, to me, that was like the coolest moment.
I have to, because the fact of the matter is it's always, there's always so much time that have passed between my sessions in this game that I've forgotten everything that I've learned. So I'm going to have to start over again and learn everything from scratch again.
Well, from what they say, it looks so good, you're going to love every minute of it. So.
Hussein X says, just play Expeditions, West, 4 expeditions a year. The Expeditions update, I think, was the last time that I played it. When they put that in, that was enough to convince me to get back in and check it out. And I did enjoy it. It was fun.
Okay.
Samson143VR. Samson! What's up, Samson? Says, happy Sunday, VR fam, with the $2 donation. Thank you, sir, for your ongoing support. Very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. Tech says, he returned the game in 2019. Hasn't been back since. Well, now's the time, Tech, on your PlayStation VR 2. Or you don't have it, does he?
Time is now, son.
Yep.
All right. So that, my friends, is No Man's Sky. Much more to come on this one. Again, be sure to click the button and ring the bell if you haven't already. We will be coming back to this one shortly.
Peggy 18.
A Hellsweeper's charge to foul demonic overspill, Hell's burden. Accept the Hellsweeper's blessing. May the lands in twain peel open before you. A demon destroyed.
Peggy 18.
New Hellsweeper VR trailer shows off co-op carnage, crossplay confirmed. This by Scott Hayden at Road to VR. Publisher Vertigo Games and Mixed Realms, developer behind Sirento VR, revealed a new trailer for their upcoming combat VR game, Hellsweeper VR, that shows off more of the game's co-op action, which thankfully is confirmed to include crossplay on Quest, Steam VR, and PSVR 2. Hellsweeper VR is a follow-up to Sirento VR, this time letting two players join forces to descend into hell and slay twisted souls. The studios say we can expect shared combos and opportunities to execute unique co-op strategies as you take on all the evil the universe has to offer. The studios say the game's co-op mode offers a full roguelike experience with a blend of strategic gameplay and randomized elements. Each player receives unique blessings, boons, and weapons, ensuring every playthrough offers different challenges and opportunities. In roguelike mode, players fight rounds with various objectives, ending with a final boss fight. You'll nab loot, upgrade your character, weapons, or Hellhound. Hellsweeper VR is coming to Quest, PSVR 2, and Steam VR headsets on September 21st, 2023. You can pre-order now on Steam and Wishlist on PSVR 2 and Quest. This also includes full crossplay support, so you can play with anyone, regardless of their chosen headset. Ruuts, this already one of the most anticipated releases for me coming up in the near future. And that's not even to consider the co-op aspect of it. The fact that they're now kind of showing this off just kind of opens my mind up a little bit about the ever increasing possibilities with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that it's cross-play or cross-platform, right? I think is right off the bat is really good. So super cool. It's already stoked for this game. Even more stoked now. And yeah, co-op carnage. I like the fact that it said that you can like share like combos and stuff. So I just got my head spinning as far as like what can you do to to do that. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went to with it as well, because the versatility of gameplay is kind of what makes this game so exciting. There's so many different options with what you can do in terms of your different types of attacks, whether that be, melee, or whether that be shooting or magic. You can combine those so that you have magic shots. Like it's like they give you three main options in terms of how you attack, and you can blend those into unique attacks. And when you take that and then you consider on top of that your movement options, where you can literally wall run, or you can run and jump on the ground, or you can fly through the air and do somersaults, all this parkour stuff. So now you have all these different ways to attack. You have all these different ways to move. And now on top of that, you introduce teamwork with another person in there that has all the same different options that you have. Again, versatility of gameplay, probably on a different level than any other game that we've ever seen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally unique. And, I loved Sirento, but this is even better. And it's going to be cool to do with a friend. So I'm super psyched. Like I said, I was psyched already to begin with, but after seeing the co-op carnage, I'm psyched even more.
Yeah, man. You know what's cool? We hear all these games that are coming in September, and your initial reaction to that is like there's some time to wait, like it's going to be a little while. September's in 4 days, dude. Like we're here. Like 2023 is soon coming to an end, and we're coming down the stretch now with all the awesome games that are going to lead up into the holiday shopping season.
Yeah, absolutely. And this in particular one is actually my birthday present because that's my birthday, 21st. So yeah, I'm gonna play it on my birthday when it comes out. I'm assuming I'll probably play it early, but we'll see.
You're going to sweep hell on your birthday,
Oh,
bro?
I'm gonna sweep it like no weather, man.
Sweep the
Demons
leg.
better watch out. Yeah, sweep the leg. Those demons better watch out.
You got a problem with that? Sweep the leg. No, man, this is awesome. I was already like super stoked for this game. The more time goes on, the more stoked I get for it. The demo was incredible. Like the demo, I think the demo was a $15 VR game just in that part by itself. What was worth buying. So I can't wait to get my hands on this full-fledged game. It's cool that we're going to be able to play across platforms. So, we'll get a chance to try both out. And if you decide you'd rather play it on your Quest Pro while I play on my PSVR or vice versa, it's cool that we're going to have the option.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. The tracking. Brian Brandon's been saying that he got his Quest Pro controllers off of eBay for like $170. I think he said it was the best $170 he spent. He said he's falling in love with those controllers, and he's going to pair them with a Quest 3. And I think all those people out there that have not tried pancake lenses are going to be blown away when they try the Quest 3. That's my prediction.
Through that. That's coming up soon too, man. September's here, bro. It's almost time to do Game of the Month again.
I know, that's crazy, right?
Time flies, bro.
Yeah.
Time flies. Anyways, Hellsweeper VR was an amazing announcement, but it was a week absolutely jam-packed full of amazing announcements for VR. Vertigo 2 is coming to PSVR 2 in October. This is from Harry Baker at Upload VR. One of the best PC VR games of the last few years is coming to PlayStation VR 2 in October. First confirmed for the platform in July and now dated during Gamescom, Vertigo 2 will make its way over to PSVR 2 headsets on October 24. Vertigo first released in March on SteamVR. During the earlier announcement, it was confirmed that the PC version would get additional features, like allowing custom textures to be imported into the upcoming level editor. 3 alternate playable characters with different playstyles will also unlock after beating the game. Vertigo 2 is an enthralling action-adventure VR game from 22-year-old creator and sole developer Zach Siakolis Brown. Inspired by the campaigns of Valve classics like Half-Life and Portal, Siakolis Brown takes a VR-first approach to game design with its satisfyingly creative arsenal of weapons across the entire 18-chapter, boss-ridden campaign. When we spoke to Siakolis Brown in April, he was really interested in bringing Vertigo 2 to PSVR 2. He confirmed he had talked to Sony about getting a partnership going, but had no concrete plans to discuss at the time. Vertigo 2 will be an absolute fantastic addition to the PSVR 2 library. In our review of the PC VR release, we outlined how it's easily one of the best VR campaigns to emerge for quite some time. Having such a beefy, campaign-driven release on PSVR 2 will be a huge boon for the platform. Vertigo 2 arrives on PSVR 2 later this year, and we'll keep an eye out for more details in the following months. You can check out our review of Vertigo 2 below, and then there's a link to their previous review. So this just kind of blows me away, Ruuts. Like, as this article points out, it wasn't that long ago that Vertigo 2 coming to PSVR 2 was just a concept, something that negotiations were happening around. It only got confirmed just last month in July, which to me said, okay, they're saying it's coming in 2023. Obviously, this is coming late November, early December at the soonest. So to have them turn around, again, this is a one-man dev team, to have them come around and say, all right, 6 weeks, that's all we need to get this game from PC to PlayStation VR 2 is just mind-blowing to me, dude. It was the last thing I expected, but quite a pleasant surprise.
What are all these teams of like 20 people doing that this one person has? Now granted it is Zach and he is Prodigy, so like, that's like 10 people working on a game. But I don't know, man. I think this is, probably between this and Resident Evil 8. These are, in my mind, the contenders for the game of the year. Now that could change as I'm playing through other things, and this is I agree with this article on Harry Baker. I think that this is an amazing game for the PSVR 2 platform, and there's really nothing like it on the platform at all. Like you could say on the PC that Half-Life Alyx is very similar to this, even though it's not as good as this game. But on PlayStation VR 2, there's nothing like this game. So it's cool.
That's true. This will be the first ever Half-Life on PlayStation VR platform. That's a pretty incredible thing in and of its own right. But I agree with you. Resident Evil Village, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah. I forgot about Gran Turismo.
And Vertigo 2. Those are kind of the front runners for Game of the Year. And any of one of them I feel like is going to be a deserving winner. But again, we've still got 4 months to go. Who knows what else is going to pop up and make its way into the race. But people should be excited for this. And the fact that it's coming so soon is incredible. And I'll also point out that when we talk about this game being one of the greatest VR games of all time, we're talking about the game in its current state. And that's not even to consider all the new modding tools that are coming up for it. And the fact that, I mean, the article talked about there being 3 new playable characters being added in. What those playable characters do is they unlock kind of like a new game plus mode, and it allows you to play through the campaign again, only having the new character with the new abilities supposedly dramatically changes the gameplay and how you make your way through it. So it's going to be like a whole new game when all of these additions get added in. And, when you consider that, when you consider all of the PSVR 2 stuff that comes along with it, I'm sure Zach is going to take full advantage of all the haptics and triggers and all of this stuff to make the game even more immersive than what it already is. And yeah, there's not many things that I'm as excited for as this, and that's saying a lot considering that I already have the game. I've already played through most of it. I'm glad I didn't finish it, Ruuts. I'm glad I didn't finish it.
Yeah, for sure. Um, what Scott the PSVR Game Cat for Life says Game of the Year RE4 VR mode. That's coming out probably December, right? Or do we know for sure?
We don't know. I did not expect it to come this year at all. What makes sense to me is for this game to come out February, March next year, after Village has been out for a year. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that RE4 remake VR is going to be on the show floor at the Tokyo Game Show next month tells me that development's moving on a little bit quicker than I expected. So we could see it this year. Very possible.
Yeah, but will it make it before? We've decided the cutoff is December.
That's true.
So if it doesn't make it before December, we'll be talking about RE4 VR mode next year. And but I wouldn't doubt it. This is the thing, man. Our Village was so good. Yeah, this VR remake could be phenomenal. You know what I mean? I mean, it looks amazing. So
Yeah, I expect I fully expect RE4 VR to be a better game even than Village. And that's saying a lot because Village might be the best VR game I've ever played. But listening to the flat players, they say that RE4 remake is the best Resident Evil game to date.
wow.
And that includes the remake of 2, which people absolutely adore. So I expect this remake to be phenomenal. It looks phenomenal. The gameplay footage is unbelievable. Like, it looks crazy good. So yeah. So, and like Ruuts just said, if a game comes out in December, then that's a game of the year contender for next year. We're cutting it off. We have to do show prep in early December. We don't have time to play through games. And even if we did, recency bias is a very real thing. So we don't want to put ourselves in that same position that we did the year before last with After the Fall coming out in December. And we probably gave it a little more credit than it deserved. Although I do think I still kind of stand by our I think it would have won anyway. But we were absolutely in love with it at that time. And a lot of that shine certainly did wear off over the course of the year.
Yeah. Well, and imagine if they could not or keep themselves from breaking the game with bugs, then I don't know that the shine would have worn off. I mean, it would have worn off
Yeah.
eventually, but I mean, that was the biggest thing. It's like you can only be screwed out of your time so many times in a row before you just say, you know what? No more.
And that's a good point. That's a good point because we were going to do this last year, right? We were going to cut it off in December for last year's game of the year, but we decided to go back on that when some games came out. Specifically, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 came out on Quest. That was kind of the big driving force behind it. And so we went back on it for that game, and as it turned out, that game had all kinds of fucked up bugs and shit when we went in and played it. So it was really the bad decision on our part to even do that, because had we not done that, that game would probably be a game of the year contender this year. But instead we had to judge it on its fucked up buggy self last year, and it didn't turn out as well as it should have.
I think
So, yeah,
I think the companies just need to have a more extended testing phase before they release these games or something, because bugs like that shouldn't get through. And sometimes bugs get through, little weird bugs, ones that you can't reproduce, right?
Day one jank is day one jank. I mean, we all expect that, and I feel like too many people, crucify games these days for having some day one jank. They all have some jank in them on day one. But, I mean, some of these bugs were pretty friggin' significant, especially when you're talking about Saints and Sinners 2 on Quest when it launched. That was a mess.
Yeah. Well, and the good news is they fixed it, and it's good now. But yeah, it kind of sucks for the way we had to judge it. So yeah, I'm 60. Tech's right. I'm 64 years old. Damn, I look pretty good for 64. Age is only a number.
Anyways,
right?
Yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just how you feel, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're going to stick to it this year. December 1st being the cutoff, or the first week of December, whatever day we decide for it to be, because we don't want to be cramming and judging unfinished games, and we got a lot to get ready for. We're going to be going to Vegas in January. We've got the year-end show to plan for. Like, there's too much going on to have to play through a full-on Resident Evil campaign. I mean, that would be nuts.
Trying to, pretty much is no other games, right? So,
anyways, yeah, Vertigo 2 coming out in about 7 weeks, which is just nuts to me, but I can't wait to play it. But we're going to be busy, man. Apparently October has a lot in store, especially on PlayStation VR.
Old Man Stauff built a house and filled it with his toys. 6 guests came one night. Their screams the only noise.
And what about the rumors?
Eleanor, they're just that. They're rumors.
Stauff has spent his fortune wisely. Never mind the smell.
Bit dreary in here, don't you think? Burden. Maybe you've seen me on Broadway.
Regrettably not.
Oh, I'm bored. I'm going to the kitchen.
Wait! We shouldn't go walking alone.
This is a game. Nothing more. One of us is going to win that prize money. I say, every man for himself.
Nothing but queens.
Apparently, there's more to this than I thought.
No one came out that night. Not one was ever seen. But Old Man Stauff is waiting there. Crazy, sick, and mean.
Hands-on. The 7th guest delivers Disney's Haunted Mansion vibes and tons of visual flair. This from Scott Hayden at Road to VR. When the original The 7th Guest launched on CD-ROM in 1993, it was apparently a pretty big deal. The amount of pre-rendered 3D graphics spliced with live-action video clips made it a standout title among all PC games at the time, making it and Myst basically the hottest PC games ever. Now, Vertigo Games is rebooting the interactive horror puzzler in VR alongside a fresh injection of volumetric video, which was undoubtedly a highlight in our hands-on. The 7th Guest is coming in October to all major VR headsets. However, we got a chance to go hands-on with a demo specifically for Quest 2 via a Steam build. Having never played the original 90s game, I don't have a basis of comparison. Although what I did see was pretty indicative that Vertigo Games has done a ton to make this a visually appealing and modern game through and through. Here's the setup. 6 guests have been welcomed to a foreboding mansion. There's something sinister at play as a wealthy recluse and toy maker, Henry Stauff, hides in the shadows. The ultimate question, who is the 7th guest? You'll have to battle increasingly difficult puzzles and keep clear of whatever bumps in the night to solve the mystery. In the 25-minute demo, I got a sense of the scale and refinement of the game, although I still have some questions about the puzzle difficulty. Don't worry, I won't talk about specific solutions here, just general impressions. Starting outside, I find myself paddling on a canoe to a boathouse where I'm immediately confronted with my first tutorial level puzzle. My newfound spirit lantern doesn't just let me shine light, but also acts as a magical tool to fix the broken planks blocking my way up to the main house. Later, I spawn the spirit lantern to materialize hidden objects or repair them, which comes part and parcel with a spirit board, which lets me see a map of the mansion, get hints and solutions, and check out my general progressions. These two feel like the main tools I'll be leaning on throughout the game. Sparing you some of the minor tutorial puzzles to actually get into the mansion, I toss open the gate and walk up to the foyer, play a record on the gramophone, and receive my first set of ghostly memories. In general, volumetric video can be a hit or miss depending on how it's woven into a game. Here, it seems like Vertigo games really hit a home run, as each little character vignette feels like a visual extension of the Haunted Mansion, replete with ghostly mist and echoey voiceovers. The acting is admittedly a little pulpy, but I'd consider the ghostly vignettes the right kind of cheesy, considering the game's 90s indie lineage. It's supposed to be fun, dare I say, Disney-esque, so it feels right on brand with something you might experience in a Haunted Mansion theme park ride. I don't expect any real frights here either. I certainly didn't have any outside the atmospheric creepiness of the mansion itself, that is. Again, I'm not going into puzzle solutions, but the early puzzles I did encounter were interesting, although not particularly difficult. A trio of magic hats creates portals to one another, allowing you to put your hand into one and solve a closed puzzle from afar. Unlock a series of boxes, and you're led right to the next vignette of a magician who met an untimely fate. Whatever the case, I hope the mechanics I'm learning in the early game will be compounded into more difficult stuff later. It's still too early to tell if the puzzles are one-off things, which would be more like a smorgasbord approach, which is fine, than requiring the player to create specific skills and use them at opportune moments. I came away mostly intrigued by the Seventh Guest in my short time going hands-on with the demo, although there's clearly one thing that I can say I don't like about it out of the gate. Voiceovers during puzzles that are designed to be constantly helpful typically overstay their welcome, and I was hoping whoever the hell was talking while figuring out puzzles would eventually stop. These can be turned off in the settings, although they are on by default. Hopefully in the full game this will be offered as a starting option, so players don't feel like they're being unnecessarily held by the hand from the get-go. As for comfort, the gamut of standard options is available. Teleportation, free movement, and a mix of both, which is the default movement style. The game can be played standing or sitting, and with support for left or right dominant hands. Whatever the case, Vertigo Games is one of those VR pioneers that has more experience in both in and outside the genre than most, and it seems they're hitting all of the quality bars you'd expect from a VR remake of such a beloved 90s game. Maybe I'll play the original while I wait for the full game, which is slated to launch October 19th this year. All right, Ruuts. So far so good here. This kind of really just affirming what we were already expecting for the Seventh Guest, being this a remake of a very early 90s point and click puzzle game. I very much expect a similar style of game here, only in the place of what at that time was revolutionary digital video graphics. We're getting a just as revolutionary volumetric video component to the VR remake, which is cool because volumetric video isn't something that we've seen integrated into very many games. We've seen it in a lot of experiences, but the fact that we're getting a full-fledged game from Vertigo here that incorporates volumetric video, I would say is just as groundbreaking as the original game was during its time.
I agree. And I think it's cool because I don't remember much about this game, but I remember it being, like they said, groundbreaking. Like it was like, oh my God, dude, it's got real people, real video of people in there. Like, you know what I mean? Like back then it was, we got such cheesy games and this was actually really cool. I don't remember any of the puzzles. I think that, I mean, according to what Scott Hayden is saying here, it sounds like they really nailed it, which doesn't surprise me. There's not much that Vertigo Games doesn't nail. But yeah, it looks really cool. I can't wait to check it out.
I think the guy kind of goes off a little bit here. Scott goes off about how easy the puzzles are, and he really hopes that they become more difficult
It's a demo
throughout the course of the game.
Like, how does he know? Like, there's a demo. There's like probably one or two puzzles?
Probably a handful. My whole thing here, though, is with a game like this, I really feel like the gameplay is going to be secondary here. I think this is going to be all about the experience of being in the haunted mansion. I don't expect it to be particularly like scary or gory or anything, but it's going to be spooky. It's going to be something that's pretty much family friendly that you're going to be able to put your friends and loved ones in during the Halloween season and really get into the mood, right?
Yeah, not only that, but like nostalgia for anybody that played this. So that's going to add another level of it, and it just looks super cool. I can't wait to see the volumetric video and see what it looks like in VR. You know, because we've seen, like you said, we've seen experiences, but not many, and it's been a while. So what has Vertigo Games done with it? How good did they make it look? Right? How cool is it going to be? That's my question. I think it's going to be super cool. We were just talking about. During the trailer, you know, between this and Arizona Sunshine 2, I'm super psyched with what they're doing over there. So
yeah, absolutely. And like once again, here we have a game that was just announced, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, and it's out next month. I mean, so cool. This I love. I hate one, finding out about a game too early and having to wait years for it. I also hate when we don't hear anything about it and the game just gets dropped in your lap. I think this is perfect. Announce the game, and then 3 months later you can buy it.
Right, absolutely. And it's not too soon, not too late. Everybody's hyped for it. Actually, let people check it out so they can talk about it with a demo, or that's always good. That builds trust with your player base, right? So
yeah. And I mean, Mr. Hayden got to play this, I imagine, on the floor at Gamescom.
Oh wow!
Which is where Eric is at right now.
I know.
So I haven't spoken to him specifically about this game, but I would imagine there's a pretty good chance that he got to go hands on with it as well. So maybe tune in next week, and we might have a little bit more insight to share on it, huh?
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, I can't wait. I was just thinking about that today. There's probably a couple games out there that he's getting to check out that we're going to want to pick his brain about.
Oh yeah, he got to play Arashi Final Cut. I know that for a fact.
Nice.
Yeah, and all the new stuff from Fast Travel Games. He got to play Vampire the Masquerade in VR, which is awesome. Wow. And then there was another Fast Travel game that's unannounced. It's like a multiplayer game, and he got to go hands on with that one as well.
Crazy, super cool.
Yeah, awesome. So again, make sure, if you haven't already, to click the button and ring the bell. Lots more to come on Gamescom as our friend Eric makes his way back stateside early next week. Anyways, so what do we got now? We had No Man's Sky announcement. We had Hellsweeper VR co-op. We had Vertigo 2 with an awesome release date. We had The Seventh Guest with an awesome release date. That wasn't it though, man. We had another highly anticipated VR game, hit us with a release date this week.
I look like a tour guide.
Experience visceral PSVR2 combat when Bulletstorm VR launches December 14th. This from the PlayStation blog. Oh, wait a minute. I have to sign in. It won't let me read it unless I sign in.
I know. It's like asking my age or something. I thought I was logged in. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? Let's do it.
All right, hold on, ladies and gents.
There
This
we
is
go.
bullshit.
Wait, no? Yeah, I'm signed in, but it still wants me to verify my age.
Yeah.
All right. I'm 1900. I'm really old. 11.
123 years old.
Yeah. Let's see if they accept that. 11/11/1900. There we go. That works. We did it.
This from Ashley Nicolette, which, by the way, her name sounds like something that you would use to stop smoking.
It does.
That's neither here. That's neither here nor there. Do you read me, Dead Echo? This is Ashley Nicolette, lead community manager at People Can Fly. We've been working hard with Incubo to bring Bulletstorm into VR. We're proud to announce that we're launching on the PSVR 2 on December 14th. Today, I'm thrilled to tell you more about how we've adapted the game's frenetic combat, especially for PSVR 2. In Bulletstorm VR, you'll embark on an ultra-violent journey of survival and revenge as you and your squad battle across the abandoned resort planet of Stygia. This sounds like a artificial sweetener.
We got all sorts of weird names, right?
Yeah. I need a couple of packs of Stygia for my coffee. Get ready to step into the boots of Grayson Hunt and settle his vendetta against the corrupt General Serrano once and for all. You'll collect a veritable arsenal of high-tech weaponry as you cut a swath of destruction through Badlands, Terror Domes, and derelict ruins. Skillfully dispatching your opponents into oblivion has never felt better since we've worked with the PSVR 2 Sense Controller's adaptive triggers. We've made sure each weapon will feel a little different in your hands. You'll feel the chain gun's insane rate of fire as you rain bullets down indiscriminately. A lack of resistance could mean you're due for a reload or need a little more time to get a target lock on for that devastating sniper headshot. Combat in Bulletstorm gets the blood flowing. Between the hell of projectiles, hordes of enemies, and dangerous environments, there are many options for you to unleash destruction. Experiencing this in virtual reality levels up the gunplay and melee combat to new heights, and the haptic feedback adds an intense sense of immersion, especially during a tough fight when you're not sure who will be left standing. When you're hanging on by the skin of your teeth, the headset pulses remind you of what's on the line and that you're living life dangerously close to the edge. But nothing beats the feeling of finishing off that last pesky mutant. As a rogue ex-assassin driven by blind revenge, Grayson Hunt is familiar with death in all its gory forms. Turn his vengeance into an art form with the skill shot system that put Bulletstorm on the map, now lovingly adapted for VR. The more mayhem you cause, the bigger the reward. You can use your energy leash to fling enemies into their friends' bullets, give your foes the shock of their lives by kicking them into exposed wiring, or launch enemies helplessly into the air with your thumper and then turn their worlds upside down with its stasis explosion. Switch from melee and range combat seamlessly to use the environment to get a creative edge over your foes. The power is in your hands to unleash the most creative and deadly kills possible. Get inventive as you destroy anyone and anything that dares to stand between you and your crew's survival. We've been working hard to make sure that Bulletstorm roars in this new format. Thanks to these groundbreaking PSVR2 features, you'll feel completely immersed in the heat of the action. This time, when you crash land on Stygia, you'll feel the heart-pounding frenetic combat like never before, especially when you feel the vibrations of a big-ass explosion. Bulletstorm VR comes to the PSVR 2 on December 14th and is now available for pre-order. Get ready to lace up your boots, kick the doors down, and unleash destruction with your leash in one hand and a gun in the other. Ruuts, looking back at all the different games that they could have chosen to bring into VR out of the old PlayStation catalog, I don't think they could have done a much better job than Bulletstorm VR. This seems like a game that was made for VR.
Yeah, it absolutely does, and hopefully it's brought in the correct way. I think it will be. I think it'll be done. I know done well. This is again a game that's being adapted. That was a pretty. I guess how old is this game? You said which PlayStation?
It's pretty old. It was a PlayStation 3 game.
Okay, yeah, so it's been many years, but it was still a game that had a lot of development, and it's being now brought into VR, and super cool. A lot of nostalgia, and I think they need to keep doing more and more of these. So
yeah, I was actually watching some flat gameplay of this the other day, and visually the game holds up pretty well, even by today's standards. It's still a good-looking game, even the old version of it.
Yeah, I never played it back in the day, so this will be my first time. So I'm super psyched. I don't, we'll see how everything looks and stuff. Like Bluebell was saying, I'm just gonna play it on the Pro. That's how I'd like to play it as well. But I'd like to also check it out on the PSVR too, and maybe that will be the best way. I mean, obviously the fact that they're talking about the haptics in the article and the adaptive triggers, because a lot of times we don't know. We know that
Right.
they could do it, but unless they're lying to us, they've taken great care to really make this a special adaptation. And so this could be definitively the best way for sure to play it. And hopefully they weren't lying, but I'm pretty sure they weren't, or they would have just kept their mouth shut and not said anything, right? So,
are you at all concerned that this is coming from Incuvo, which is the studio that also happened to bring us Green Hell VR just a few weeks ago?
No, because Green Hell, like there's so many different adaptations that they've had, right? And they were taking a Quest version, bringing it over. This is different thing. This is a new thing. The Green Hell on PC was really good. Well, I guess they didn't do the port to PlayStation VR 2. I guess that was only for Green Hell, right? So as far as that
Well,
goes.
here's the thing. You would hope that they've learned their lesson, because, I mean, even if it was overblown, the kind of pushback that they got, I'm sure they're not going to want to go through that again with this launch. So hopefully they've learned that lesson, and this will be a beautiful game on PSVR 2 when it launches. I already know it's going to play amazing. This is a high octane, high energy, fast paced action shooter for VR with gigantic, destructible set pieces. And it's a game that rewards you for getting creative with being destructive. Again, something that should translate very well to VR.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think we're going to see more games like this? More older games?
Yeah, I do. Not on PlayStation specifically, because they have such a catalog to pull back on. Now, this game is not PlayStation exclusive. It's also coming to Steam and I think Quest even, all concurrently in December. So, yeah, it doesn't matter where you're playing at. You're going to be able to play this one. Although, like Ruuts just mentioned, PSVR 2, if everything goes the way it should go, this should be the best version of the game.
Looper the Underground Game Cat says, Incuvo had a bad port with Layers of Fear, good one with Blair Witch, bad one with Green Hell, so the next one should be good. Yep, every other one. Kind of like Call of Duty, right? They had a good one every other year. So
right. Yeah, and for what it's worth, Incuvo's already come out and addressed the issues with Green Hell. They've released a statement kind of apologizing and thanking people for their feedback and promising that they're going to fix it with upcoming patches. So kudos to them for that.
And that's what really matters, right? So if at the end of the day everything gets fixed and they have a finished product that everybody loves, that'll be good.
And after our kind of review that we went through last week, they did send us a review key as well. So kudos to them for getting back to my email eventually. I was kind of tongue in cheek. I was joking when I was kind of bringing up that they didn't send us one because I'd only asked. I'd only sent an email like 3 days prior to the show. So I mean, it makes sense that they didn't get back to me, but they did after the show. Like the next day, they got back to me. So kudos to them for that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Bulletstorm is going to be incredible. I think it's going to be a ton of fun in VR. I think that the haptics are going to rattle you to your spine, and the explosions are going to melt your face off. And I can't wait to play it. Although this is a December game, Ruuts, this will be a possibly a Game of the Year contender during the 2024 show.
Yeah, and some people would say, well, that's not really fair because like they're gonna have the whole year. They're like, January? You could say that for every month, wherever you start, right? So you got to cut it off somewhere.
Yep, got to cut it off somewhere. Never cut mine off though.
No, but you know who would? Oh, I know she wouldn't. Never mind. Lorena Bobbitt would though, Wes. That's true. She did. So.
Anyway, Ruuts, that's 5 titles up, 5 titles down. Very PlayStation VR centric show this week. Although most of these titles, all of these titles that we've spoken about, are multi-platform games. I do want to take a moment though and throw a bone to our PC VR gamers out there, and let's talk a little bit of PC VR gaming before we call it a day. Half-Life 2 RTX Remaster could mean big upgrades for Half-Life 2 VR. This from Ben Lang at Road to VR. NVIDIA this week announced Half-Life 2 RTX, a community-made remaster of the legendary game featuring all new assets, textures, and lighting. Pieces of the remaster are likely to make their way to the already existing Half-Life 2 VR mod. When it rains, it pours, as they say. After years of delays, Half-Life and VR fans have been treated over the last 12 months to full VR mods of Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. And now it seems that fans are in for another treat. The Half-Life 2 VR mod is likely to get a range of graphical upgrades thanks to the newly announced Half-Life 2 RTX remaster. Although it already featured improved graphics and lighting over the original Half-Life 2, the Half-Life 2 VR mod largely focused on touching up the game's existing assets and enhancing some key 3D models while building out full support for VR. Half-Life 2 RTX, on the other hand, is a complete graphical overhaul, says NVIDIA. The project is described as being in early development, with developers consisting of a range of experienced Half-Life 2 modding teams, including folks from the Half-Life 2 VR mod team. The teams are working under the banner Orbifold Studios and say they're seeking more talented people to work on the project. According to NVIDIA, the project will see, quote, every asset reconstructed in high fidelity, textures built with physically based rendering techniques, and RTX ray tracing support. And while the project will likely mean that high quality 3D assets will make it over to the Half-Life 2 VR mod, unfortunately, RTX ray tracing probably won't. A member of the Half-Life 2 VR mod team called modding the full Half-Life 2 RTX game to support VR is just a pipe dream at the moment. Currently, RTX Remix, the platform used to build Half-Life 2 RTX, is not compatible with Half-Life 2 VR mod, since they both hook into the rendering pipeline and abuse it in different and incompatible ways. But, the team member says, that there are plans to work with other members of this new super team on backporting as much of the shiny new HD content as we can to the old source engine and putting them into our Half-Life 2 VR mod graphics update. There's no timeline at the moment for when that might happen, but hey, these things take time. All right, Ruuts, so basically what they're saying here is that the ray tracing features that is coming into this full remake are not compatible with the source engine or the version of the source engine that the VR mod was built in. But what they're able to do is take these brand new high detail textures and just use those assets in that engine. So they're going to be able to use a lot of the work that's being done here for the next gen flat version and bring that stuff into the VR mod, which, by the way, looks pretty damn good as it stands today.
It does. And this is actually better news for the VR people anyway. You wouldn't want this thing to be compatible, because if it, well, I mean, I guess you could, but you would need a 2080, right? Or better, like, or maybe even a 3080. I don't know, depending on which, generation they're working off of. So this is the better of two. You're getting the assets, but you're not having to have a better video card. So
I think this is cool, though, man. This is, again, I mean, I don't know if you remember when we first got into VR, but way back in the day, Half-Life in VR was just a pipe dream at that point. It was something people used to fantasize about. And then Half-Life Alyx came along and kind of changed the game and made that a reality. But since then, Half-Life is coming to VR. Half-Life 2 is coming to VR. And not in like a janky way, but an officially supported VR mod that's downloadable directly from Steam. No modding required on your part. And we've basically got the entirety of Half-Life playable in VR now, which is incredible. And I think it only bodes well for these fans as we move forward into the future and look at the possibility of new titles coming down the pipe. I don't think we'll ever see another Half-Life title that you can't play in VR.
yeah, we're getting to that. Yeah, I agree. Actually, I was going to say we're getting to that point. No, we're here. We're at that point. And one of the things that's kind of cool about this is there's a lot of people that when I talk about VR that haven't really been in VR or don't know much about VR, I'll mention that there's a Half-Life 2 VR mod, and people, like, their eyes light up. They, you can see that they're, oh my God, you can play that in VR. So this is going to be an even better version of that. And in my opinion, Half-Life 2 is a better game than Half-Life Alyx. It may not have the innovation in a lot of ways that Half-Life Alyx has, but the actual core gameplay and story is just better. And so yeah, I'd love to play it with better assets.
I agree with that. Like the game itself, Half-Life 2 is a better game than Half-Life Alyx. Now, Half-Life Alyx is an experience in VR.
Correct.
It's so realistic with the graphics and
awesome.
the physics. It's awesome. But when you play one game, when you play the game from start to finish, there's so much more diversity in what happens in Half-Life 2 versus Half-Life Alyx, which is a pretty straightforward arcade shooter from start to finish. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying here, and I think anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to play Half-Life 2 in VR yet should definitely look into it, because you don't need a killer rig to run it. And again, you download it from Steam like any other game. It takes a little bit of getting used to, like the controls and stuff, because again, it wasn't a game that was originally intended for full 6-off VR. But after you kind of get over the learning curve, it takes about a half an hour to get over the learning curve. You've got a full-fledged Half-Life game, fully playable in VR, and it translates very well.
Yeah, and I can only imagine for those people that are just love the game, right? Like they just fell in love with Half-Life, and now you're getting to be in that world, and now you're going to have better assets. I would suggest you. Is this live now, or is this we're waiting on this? Right there, as far as them taking the assets and moving them over.
Well, I mean, it's already had a graphical update, like the VR mod. When it came out, I had updated the assets and stuff in it. But yes, this is a work in progress, and it'll probably be some time before we ever see any of these like super next gen assets get ported back into it. Yeah. So I wouldn't wait. Don't wait on it. Like if you're thinking about playing it, play it now.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's the easiest mod to install that I've ever done. So
some of the scenes in this game, for example, like the one where the helicopters are chasing you and shit, like. It's just epic stuff in VR.
I don't, and this may piss a lot of people off. I don't think it's as cool as Uncharted 4, but that's just me. I think Uncharted 4 is just the superior game for me.
Uncharted 4 is amazing. Have you been back into it any since we last?
Yeah, I've been back in, but I need to get back in more. I was actually thinking about going tomorrow. So.
Okay. Well, if you're going to pick it back up, I'm going to pick it back up. Maybe we can talk about it sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to get MASH in there too.
Yep.
So, John
maybe
Savino
we do that
says,
one next week.
He says, "I'm here. Say hello." Hello, John Savino.
Hola, John Savino.
Yeah.
Welcome, friend. Thank you. Awesome Tatum and Old Darth Hussein X, I'll say Hubris for some reason.
They said, if you could choose one game out of Hubris, Iron Man, or the Light Brigade, which one would you buy? It's a good question.
Those are all great games.
Depends on what you're looking for. Each one of them. I mean, Iron Man is actually it isn't arguably, in my mind, it's the best superhero game that exists. Light Brigade is an amazing roguelite game, and Hubris is an amazing story. So,
are we talking about? I assume we're talking about Quest here, because Iron Man is not playable on Steam VR, nor is it playable on PSVR 2. So the only platform that all three of those games are playable on is Quest.
Right.
I would probably say Light Brigade, honestly. Like, Hubris is great, but the Quest version is definitely the weak link out of the three versions. I feel like the Light Brigade's pretty good across all versions of the game. And I don't know. It just depends on what you like. Hubris is still great on Quest as well. And Iron Man might be the best version of it might be on Quest. So yeah. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I don't think you could go wrong with any of those.
I say get all three. Then you got the best of all three worlds. So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It depends on what you like. Like, if you want more of a if you're more about the shooting like gameplay, then you would probably want the Light Brigade. If you want more of like a full featured adventure game, definitely Hubris would be the way to go. But if you like, if you want to feel like a badass superhero, Iron Man is good. It's kind of more of a episodic type thing. Like the gameplay isn't the same all the way through that. You have different levels and doing very different things level to level in that game.
It's all tied back.
I don't know.
You still go back
They're all
home.
great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, there is a refund policy on Quest, so you can try these games out and send it back if you don't like one or whatever.
Yep.
All right. I think that's going to wrap up headlines for us, man, and get us into the week's reminders, where we do actually have a couple things coming out this week.
It feels good, right? Yo, I'm in the light at the end of the tunnel. Paper stacks, yeah, I got them in the bundles. Harry Potter breaking bread with the muggles. They said I would've made it, now they looking puzzled. Get the bag, it ain't never getting fumbled. Have a blast, got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Getting flew out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. Going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. I just do see you later, no goodbyes. New flow. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah.
Bounce Shot released on MetaQuest and Pico platforms this past Thursday. Ruuts, this is the VR beer pong simulator where you and up to 3 friends can get in and take place in either 1v1, 2v2, or I think there's even like a 1v2 if you want to do it that way. It's pretty cool, man. If you're into these kind of social multiplayer games, and maybe you're a little bit bored with golfing, or you're cornholing, or your darts, maybe get in and try out some beer pong, eh?
Yeah, the only way I could see, and I don't really drink much anymore, playing this, like there'd be a caveat. Like we really have to be taking beer. That's the whole point of beer pong, is like you getting worse as you're playing, right? And so like that's, if we're playing Wes, we're doing beers and we're slamming them.
Yeah,
with each one, right? So
well, that's the idea, right? You want to get drunk while you're playing it,
right? I think that would make the game fun.
Blue Bill says the game is fun, but it does need some tweaking. It's not as polished as 11 table tennis. Here's the cool thing about it: $10.
Yeah,
$10 game. And here's an even cooler thing: is maybe you don't want to drop the $10 on it. This is one of the games that we're featuring in Impact Labs, and I know we've talked about Impact Labs a couple times on the program here. What Impact Labs is our group that we've got together at Impact Reality. It's our playtester group. I want to say anyone can join, but that's not necessarily true. You do have to apply to join. But when you join, we give you access to certain games, and this is one of those games that that we give you access to. And we don't really ask for much in return, just a little bit of feedback. We typically will give you a questionnaire to fill out after you've spent some time with the game, and we also do encourage people to leave a review, an honest review. If you don't like it, leave a bad review. If you do like it, leave a good review. And that's really all we ask. And we have a ton of games that we offer through Impact Labs. This is one of them. And if this is something that you'd like to participate in, I have included a link to the application in the description of this video down below. So yeah, if you don't want to drop the $10, which I do feel like it's worth a $10. It is a $10 game. But if you don't want to go that route about it, how about joining us at Impact Labs, and maybe we could hook you up with a review key for it.
Absolutely. And then you can actually help the devs fix things. Like Lozic says the voice chat was a little messed up. Well, that's the kind of feedback that Impact is looking for, right? So that they can help them fix it, right? So
exactly.
You could be a part of that, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I would point out that 11 Table Tennis, it wasn't the technical marvel that it is now on the day that it launched either. 11 Table Tennis launched for $2.50 Ruuts, and was a bit bare bones and a little bit janky. But over time, through playtesting and feedback and updates, it has become well known as the most realistic table tennis simulator in the world. So I would imagine that that bodes pretty well for a game like Bounce Shot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what Bluebell was just saying. Yeah, I'm sure they will fix it because 11 Table Tennis is extremely well done with no issues. And like Wes just said, it's kind of like the No Man's Sky. It didn't start out that way, but it was polished into the game it is today. So if you can trust any developer to get their game polished, it's them. And like I was saying just a second ago, you can actually help it happen by hitting Wes up. Is it in the Discord you said, right?
No, it's in the description of this video. Actually.
Okay, yeah.
So I put the thing.
Yep. So
but I'll tell you what, if you do apply, let me know, so that, because I don't review the applications. I think Todd does that. But if you're watching this video and you did apply, like, shoot me a message. Let me know that you've applied for Impact Labs, and I'll tell Todd to kind of keep an eye out for your application.
Yeah, absolutely. John Savino says, you want to play games with drunk guys, play an Irish guy in Walkabout. That was the best time I ever had. My best drinking time I've ever had in VR was playing Star Trek, the Bridge Crew, and just playing with random people. And it was, I actually had a few really cool moments that I remember doing that. It was pretty cool.
Something else that's cool about Bounce Shot that I forgot to mention, it's actually something that's really cool that definitely would make probably most of you worth throwing down your $10 and practicing and getting good at this. They held a tournament this past week, Ruuts, on the Discord, with $125 prize pool. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. Oh my God, that's a reason to get ready.
That's a reason. For sure.
So listen. They're going to be doing these tournaments every other week, and the prizes are going to continue to grow as the player pool grows. It's free to play, free to enter. You don't have to pay to enter. But let me tell you, I can't say exactly what, but there's a tournament coming up very, very soon that's going to have a very, very awesome prize that's worth well more than the $125 prize pool they put up this past week.
I know what it is. Okay, I don't know what it is, but I have an idea in my mind anyway that what I would like it to be. So what you're saying, Wes, is people could actually enter this tournament and potentially win money and or said items that you just talked about in the future and future tournaments, and they don't even have to potentially invest any money. They could just get it from Impact and help you out, or you guys out with playing the game and fixing things, right? Or I guess making it
that's
better.
a possibility. I don't know how many more bounce shot players we're going to bring in through Impact Labs, but I'm sure we'll bring a few in. But the point of the story is that for a $10 game, you could win your money back on the game, this weekend playing in a tournament.
Yeah, you don't even have to wait to get in the program for it, right?
Right.
It's only $10.
So $10, that's right. So,
yeah, Bluebell, that's what I was thinking too. It'd be perfect timing, but who knows, man? I'm sure there's going to be a hot bunch of those things being flung around once October comes.
Anyways, if I were you all, I would watch the bounce shot socials very closely this week because you're going to be blown away. And for those of you out there who trust me, I would buy the game now and start practicing. The game now and start practicing.
Damn.
You'll see.
You'll see. You heard it here. Apple Vision Pro. No, just kidding. Crazy. I was just talking to D about the Apple Vision Pro. $3,500. Snap. Got to get it, Wes.
For real. Yeah, I'm sold. I'm getting one. I'm not getting one.
I'm not either.
Anyway, bounce shots out this week. Ruuts, was there anything else that's worth mentioning?
I thought there was something, but I can't remember.
Crossfire Sierra Squad is out this week on PlayStation VR2 and Steam VR. Ruuts, this is one of the more notable games that were revealed when PlayStation VR2 was revealed. It's been delayed a couple times so that they can make sure they get it polished up and ready for launch. And the wait is nearly over as this game is out this Tuesday.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, man. It's only a few days. 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't wait. It looks amazing.
I've been looking forward to it myself. Again, this is a game that I got to go hands-on with at GDC this year, and I enjoyed it. Again, I would like to reiterate for people out there, a lot of times when people see something with super awesome graphics like this, and it's a VR game, they assume that it's a military simulation. This game is not a simulation game. This is a arcade style action shooter where the enemies come at you in waves and the levels are all very self-contained. As long as you go into it with that expectation and proper knowledge of what the game is, if you're into arcade style shooters, you're really going to dig this game. And so much content, Ruuts. For the $30 price tag, you get 13 single player missions, which is a story campaign, they call it. You get like 50 co-op missions that you can play with a friend. There's nearly 50 weapons in the game. There's a realism mode, which takes all the HUD stuff out and makes it so that pretty much if you get shot once, you're dead. And if you shoot the enemy once, they're dead, just like real life. There's a horde mode in the game that you can play with friends, up to 3 friends in the horde mode. Just a ton of different content and gameplay modes available for single player and multiplayer at launch. $30.
Oh, I thought you said 60. No, I'm just kidding. 30. Damn, that's a damn good deal for everything you just said. And it just sounds amazing. It looks amazing. Can't wait to get in there and check it out, right?
Yeah, and it feels amazing with your PlayStation VR2 Sense controllers as well. The adaptive triggers are used in unique ways in this game.
Okay.
I don't know how much of that I'm allowed to speak to and how much I'm not. But this is an evolution of a genre that was common, in Gen 1 VR. How many arcade style like wave shooters did we have in the first gen. There was a ton of them, right? But this is an evolution with when the hardware evolves, so does the software, and I think this is a prime example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. John Savino says if Crossfire has no bugs, get it. Yeah, I don't. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how everything. I mean, I don't think it's gonna have bugs, but there's so many games that have came out. I thought we're not gonna have bugs, flat and VR in the last year, and so I until I get into a game, I'll never really say it's not going to or will. But yeah, I can't wait. It looks amazing. Like I said, I think my only game that I've played that's like this is Zero Caliber, and I just don't. I think it's meh. It's okay. It's not my favorite game. It was okay for its time. This game looks next level. This looks like like an actual legit, like you said, arcade shooter that I want to play. And I think it's kind of ironic, or maybe not ironic, but cool that there's 50 levels for you and your friends and 13 for single player. That's the way I want it. Give me 13 really good levels for myself, and then give me 50 different to play with my friends, right? So
yeah, and there's progression, there's different weapons, there's loadouts, there's tons of different stuff in this game. Again, as long as you're into the kind of arcade action, then you're going to dig it. This is going to be a better game than Operation Wolf Returns, is basically what I'm saying.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is going to be a legit, actual shooter, as far as running through and feeling like you're a badass and you're in war. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Anyway, stay tuned on that. We're definitely going to be covering this game this week. Out in 3 days, so we'll have much more to say about it once the game launches onto PlayStation VR and Steam VR this week. Again, this is a game that cross-platform play is planned, but will not be available at launch. So if you're going to pre-order this game, make sure you talk to your friends and find out what platform they're going to be playing on, so that everyone that's in your circle will be able to play together.
Right. Or if you can, get both so you can hit both circles. Because I got friends in both circles.
Yeah, it's the same here too, because I'd like to play with my wife and my children, but we only have one PlayStation VR headset here, so having that cross-platform would be a big boon when that finally happens. But until then, there's some value in getting the Steam version so we can play together,
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, stay tuned for more on that. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say as the week unfolds. Anyway, that's what's out this week. Let's take a look at some of the viewer comments from the last 7 days. First of all, we have Simo Gamecat, who says, one of the most, if not the most, informed VR channels out there. Thank you for your honest, reliable, and down-to-earth style. So this was a comment, Ruuts, from our Firewall 0 hour gameplay from this past Friday. And I've gotten this from a few people because there were so many different things said about Firewall, so many different takes on it. Again, a lot of that stuff was legitimate, but then there was a lot of it that was from people who typically like to hate on PlayStation VR2 or people who haven't played the game. So kind of the purpose behind that episode was for us to go in live, let people see exactly what the game is, and have a cast of people with us to give their honest opinions while we were in there playing it. It's kind of hard to fool people, Ruuts, when you're in the game live, right? And that's typically the type of approach that we want to take, is no bullshit, no agendas. This is what the game is. And apparently Simo Gamecat and a few other people appreciate that approach.
Yeah. Well, I like that approach as well. That's what I would like as a viewer. So that's why we like to give, that's what we'd like to do, right? So.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you for the recognition, Simo. We love it when we see people kind of get it, who people who appreciate our approach. We appreciate the acknowledgement. VR Labs says, and honestly, Green Hell on PlayStation is a totally different game. I tried playing it on Quest for an hour and then hopped on the PlayStation. And the PlayStation version is so much better. There's more lush forest. The ground doesn't look like dirt. There's no fog. And the Quest version doesn't have the same transition into night, more like PlayStation has. PlayStation has more of a dusk mode. The forest feels so much more alive. It might not feel as sharp, but I think it's 20 times better. I would say it's so much better than Quest. The Quest was also super janky and glitched. That was weird because I don't remember it playing like that when it was first released. They also need the same map as Quest if they want to have the multiplayer. Now I agree with that, and that's something that we kind of mentioned when people were asking, well, why did they do the Quest version? I think this is exactly why, because multiplayer is coming, and all the players are on Quest and on PlayStation, so it makes sense that they would want to have the same version of the game.
Yeah, that does make sense actually for a lot of standpoints. But my thing is I put a lot of stock in clarity, and I still stand by what we said. It's like I like sharpness, and especially with apparently with what Hello Games has done with No Man's Sky. There's no reason why every game on PlayStation VR2 shouldn't look that way. Like it's
Right.
superior to the Quest in almost every single way, but why is the Quest version sharper? But I think Inkovo is going to fix it with foveated rendering, and we're going to be shocked by how good it looks. So
Exactly. I think it will eventually be the best version of the game. And for what it's worth, I own all three versions, and it was the PlayStation version that I played through. But it wasn't because I felt like all of these reasons, those reasons, while they may be legitimate, were not the reason why I stuck with it on PlayStation versus going back to the Quest. The biggest reason for me, was comfort. Like there's no way I would have made it through 17 hours of this game in that Quest 2. It's just not comfortable enough for me to have these long play sessions in it. So at least on PlayStation, when I was in there, I found that I was able to kind of work my way through the shortcomings of this port, and it was comfortable enough for me to play it 3 and 4 hours at a time. So, I would imagine if you bought this on PlayStation, that you should just wait for the patch to fix it and then go in and play it. If you already own this on Quest, I would say don't buy it again. I would say go play it on Quest if you can manage to do that comfortably.
right. And I guess does that worry you about the Quest 3? Because it's pretty much the same form, a little bit lighter, but it's the same gasket and everything.
I'm hopeful that it'll be more comfortable, because that's the biggest upside for pancake lenses, is that the visor part is thinner, and what that does is it reduces the amount of torque on the contact points. See, when something's kind of sticking out from your face and all that weight is 4 inches from your face versus 2 inches from your face, it creates a rotation torque with gravity, and that's what you feel on your cheeks or your forehead or wherever you decide to put the pressure at. So by having a thinner unit, even if the weight is pretty close to the Quest 2, it should feel less heavy on your face. And I'm hoping that that's going to be the case with Quest 3.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Plus, I mean, Meta knows that they know that this has been a big criticism of the Quest devices. So I would hope that ergonomics and comfort was something that they focused on during the design phase of this device.
Well, if the Quest Pro is any indication, of where their mindset is, it is not, because the Quest Pro, as amazing it is not the most comfortable headset. Although I will say, with that side strap thing I got on there, it makes it 100 times better, and it's actually a lot more comfortable. But like I think with the Bobo VR, at least for me, the Quest 2 became very comfortable. But you didn't like
It
the
became
same.
usable. It became usable for me with the Bobo. Still, like that starts to wear on me by the time I hit like 90 minutes in the thing. I'm like, I'm done, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the next comment? We have a comment from I Want a Lot. You know who else wants a lot, Ruuts?
My mom!
Oh, she never gives up. She just wants and just keeps taking.
This is from the Firewall video as well. Really enjoying the game despite the server issues. Loving the 4 people against the computer option. So fun. Never could get used to manual and standing. So I'm a sitting guy. It's the future. Shadows from the flashlight are next level. Can't wait to see how the game evolves as it levels up. So yeah, here's just another player, Ruuts, that kind of fall into our category of people who aren't bothered so much about sitting down and pressing buttons for our games. I can still be just as immersed doing that as I can any other type of game.
I just wanted to be in VR. That was my dream back in the day. Whatever game it is, I just want to be in this world. Now I can be in this world, and you know, you're still aiming down the sights. You actually got revolutionary eye tracking, and super cool.
VR Lab says though that 3 rounds is not enough. You wait 5 or 10 minutes for a match and then play for 5 minutes. They need to make it more like Breacher's 12 rounds. I think 12 rounds would be a little bit of a overkill in this game.
It's too much in Breachers. By the time 12 rounds comes around, I remember when we played it, I thought, my God, is this ever going to end? Like, that's a long time.
I agree. So I agree. Well, I agree with this point. Like 3 rounds isn't enough. I agree with that. 12 is too many. What I would like to have, Ruuts, is a best of 5 with the caveat that you can't win until you win on offense. Because the way it's structured right now is it's easier to win as a defender than it is as an attacker. So I think that you should have to break serve once to win. So until someone does that, the match goes on indefinitely. And then when somebody wins on offense, then they can actually win the series.
Yeah, because that's my biggest gripe about this type of mode is, you know, one team sits there and the other team has to breach, basically. I mean, this is breach, you know.
That is a tactic, but you don't have to play it that way. I mean, when you're on defense, you can always just go kill the opponents and win.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, there's really no benefit to that. Like, it's kind of like you're sitting there.
Tell that to Alex. Alex don't sit there and wait on nobody.
He is a different type of player. He is wiry and he's badass, and you want him on your team, not against you. And Geisen as well. They're both, like, when we had both of them on the team when I was on there, I was like, you guys were talking about switching teams. I was like, fuck you, man. Let's keep these teams forever, because we would have won every time.
Right. For what it's worth, after our stream, Rogue TR tagged me up on Discord and gave me some
tips,
cool pointers about the game that I didn't know.
Okay.
And I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but one I do remember is if everyone clicks the little minus thing in the middle of the team selection, if everyone clicks on that,
it does randomize.
Then it'll randomize the teams every time.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And that way, you know, it's just random.
Yeah, so that was very helpful. Thank you, Rogue, for the tips. I'm going to see if I can bring up the other stuff he said. There was a couple of different things actually.
That's crazy. I think that's pretty innovative. I would suggest that, well, I guess you kind of want everybody to click it, but it'd be easier if you just had one person, whoever's the main person, could just click it and change it for everybody or something.
Okay. Well, I can't find it. I'm not going to sit here and search through Discord, but everyone hit up Rogue TR. He's got the info on Firewall, which, by the way, again, Firewall was my favorite competitive multiplayer shooter in VR in the first gen, and I can quickly see it becoming that in the second gen, although I will say that we're going to have a lot more options this time around. So who knows, man, when that when the contractors, the new contractors game comes out, that might be my favorite.
I know. Well, I know a lot of people love Ghost of Tabor, and it's an amazing game. But I'm more.
Tabor's good.
I'm more likely to.
It's a lot.
Well, I'm just more likely to gravitate towards something like Contractors Battle Royale. I love those type of things. So,
One more comment before we call it a day. Matt and Kuda, thanks for yet another awesome show. I'm loving Green Hell, and it's one of those games that has me wanting to go back in and beat the hard mode after rolling the credits, despite its graphical issues. Looking forward to the 2023 show this year. Talk about a great VR year already, and we still have months to go for more bangers. And I thought this was a great comment, Ruuts, because it just goes to show what short memories people have when they talk about the VR library. This might be the best year we've ever had in VR, Ruuts. It's certainly
we're spoiled.
It's certainly up for debate. Like it's with all the great games. I mean, we've had 4 or 5 games this year that are in the conversation for greatest games ever in VR. And we have so much more to go before the end of the year. So yeah, good call, Matt Ancuda. And you're right. The 2023 show should be one for the ages.
It's crazy because I literally feel like we just had the deliberation for the 2022 show like a month ago or something. It just feels so quick that we're already here, a few months away from that, deliberation. And it's super cool for all the patrons that want to be a part of it, right? Get to decide in who the game of the year is. Games of the year.
We're 5 weeks away from October. When October gets here, it's our annual, horror game marathon, in addition to our kind of happy birthday PlayStation VR. So October pretty much writes itself. And that's not even considering the fact that Vertigo 2 is going to be out that month as well. But we're going to have a full month of brand new horror games, a full month of revisiting the best old horror games. We're going to have Vertigo 2. We're going to have kind of a look back at PlayStation VR, where we'll probably take another look at Farpoint and Astrobot and a couple other games. Then comes November. November will be launch of Quest 3. And in addition to that, we're going to have all kinds of games leading up to the holiday gaming shopping season. Asgard's Wrath 2 is going to be out during this window. And that's it, man. When we get to that point, it's time to prepare for the 2023 show. That's how close we are.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then it'll be to CES. Crazy.
Yep. So literally we're here, dude. Like we're 2 months away from starting to prepare for the 2023 show, which means finishing all the top contenders so that we can have a good debate in early December and pick the winners. We've basically got a month here to play shooters. Basically, we've got a month to play shooters, and then the rest of the year's written out.
Yeah, it's crazy. And who knows what else will drop in that time frame too. That there's always games that drop that we didn't know were coming. There's so many games out there that we know exist that we're wondering where they're at. They could just drop out of nowhere, right? Especially with the Quest 3 the biggest thing, that's the biggest thing with the Quest 3 dropping in October. Like, what is Meta going to bring out of the woodwork for that release, right? That could potentially come out. I mean, we could be seeing GTA, you know. I mean,
it's going to be March all over again. Remember how crazy March was after PlayStation VR dropped and all those games we had to play? Still haven't played all those games.
Yeah.
But it's going to be that all over again, only on the Quest side this time.
Yep. Absolutely.
And the cool thing about it is that the Quest games aren't going to be garbage anymore because we have a brand new powerful processor to play these games in. So
yeah,
the Quest games are actually going to be good for the first time ever.
How long do you think till they make the Quest 2 obsolete like they did Quest 1? I mean, it'll take a little bit longer, but
they'll support it for a while. Like I still think it'll have a couple of years of support, but by the time the Quest 3 gets to be 1 year old, Quest 2 will pretty much be dead, because we'll start to see, I think pretty quickly we're going to start to see Quest 3 games that are optimized for Quest 3. So like, even though you're able to play Asgard's Wrath 2 on Quest 2, I think the Quest 3 version is going to be way better. And if we get a few game releases that are like that, people are going to start selling off their Quest 2s pretty quick.
Yeah. So you're saying sell it sooner. I might give mine to my roommate, or I don't know, man. I still don't know what I'm going to do, because I keep thinking about it. Like, what am I going to do? Why do I need a Quest 2 if I have a Quest 3?
Well, I mean, since you have D there, you probably pretty much don't. I'm not getting. I have 2 Quest 2s. I'm not getting rid of either of them, but that's because I've got 4 other people here to play with. You know.
Yeah, if I had a bunch of people in my house, my family or something that wanted it, I tried to give it to my daughter when she was visiting, and she said she wouldn't use it. VR gives her a headache, and all the excuses.
Yeah. I know. I've been there, done that, bro. By the way, I want to shout out my kid, my youngest. Just came in here right before the show and asked me if he could play some PlayStation VR 2. So I'll set him up in there, and he started out on Switchback, which he played for probably close to an hour.
Wow.
And then on my suggestion, he started playing Synapse, which he was really digging when we started the show. So
nice.
Yeah.
Fluke Grogi says at Gear, if you'd like my opinions on it, check the last video that was posted in the self-promo channel of the Virtual Strangers Discord, or you can wait.
Oh, by the way, I saw that. I haven't watched the video yet. Whose birthday is it, Fluke? Is it your birthday? Or is it Gary's birthday? Somebody's birthday was posted in the Discord, and I didn't get a chance to click through and see whose birthday it was.
Okay. Hey, I saw that as well. I was going to so you can click on that link. There's the link directly to the Recentered. It's the 1 year old Recentered 1 year old.
Okay.
The podcast birthday. So there's a link to the 1 year old episode 25. And
I thought it was SpryGuy. I thought they were shouting out SpryGuy's birthday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations on 1 year. It's an excellent podcast. If you haven't checked it out, everyone click the link there in the chat, and you can also pick the link up in our Discord.
Yep, absolutely. And it is Jenna Sequa's birthday, and so happy birthday, Jenna. And of course Spry. So.
And of course, yeah, SpryGuy. Anyways, what's next on our agenda here? Oh, it's that time. It's a time where we all join hands and work together to support our local VR game developers by taking a moment of our time and just clicking on a game and wishlisting it.
Just
a big deal.
Clicks.
It's a big deal for these developers. It helps them out tremendously. It's one of the things that we like to encourage people to do with the Impact Labs. Leave a review, wishlist games these sorts of things make a huge difference to especially the smaller development teams out there. So as we do every week, we want to take a moment here and pick a game and go wishlist it. The question is, Ruuts, which of these have we not done yet?
I know. That's why I was just looking. I was like, I'm pretty sure I haven't done Bulletstorm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Bulletstorm might be the way to go. And I'm going to do that on PlayStation VR 2 if I can.
Yeah. Well, I think I might end up doing it on Steam because I might have better luck there. The PlayStation VR 2 store sometimes is funky for me, but it's just I think.
Oh,
it's
it
just
is. No, it's not just for you. It's for everybody on PC. Their PC store is a fucking mess.
Yeah, and that's usually how I like to go to almost everywhere, especially in a situation like this. I'm sitting right in front of it, right? And I'm actually, why am I leaning forwards? Man, my back sucks. Getting old. All right.
But you can wishlist it currently on the PlayStation Store. I'm going to drop the link right in the chat here. So if anybody wants to go wishlist it, they can right now. Boom. There it is. Go wishlist Bulletstorm, ladies and gents. Help out People Can Fly.
Well, that
and
makes it
Incubo.
really easy for me.
Yeah, maybe we should start doing that. Start putting the links in the
at least for
chat
the ones
so
that we do. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so people can go and do it easily.
And this is it's just a heart. It's hearted in. You can pre-order right now as well. $36. You get a $4 discount.
That's a $40 game.
Yeah.
10% matters with a $40 game.
That's true.
All right, so thank you to everyone out there who took a moment of your time to support the devs by wishlisting a game. Be sure to let us know in the description down or the comments down below which game you wishlisted this week. And that, I believe, brings us to our final reminder this week and every week, and that is how you can support us, our channel, our community, and yourselves as part of that community. Of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. We've already talked about it a number of times, all the cool stuff we have coming up on the channel, whether we're talking about Strangers in the Night this week, where we're going to be talking about Crossfire Sierra Squad, and No Man's Sky Echoes, War of Being. That sounds like a banger episode. You're not going to want to miss it. We've also got Game of the Month coming up next week. You're not going to want to miss that. And you're not going to want to miss any of these where we highlight the week's top news. So if you haven't already, be sure you subscribe and ring the bell so that you can be notified when we go live. If you've already done that, though, and you want to do a little something extra, you can support us on Patreon, where for as little as $3 per month, you'll get our weekly show notes, occasional insider updates, and exclusive content, all for less than $1 per week. Plus, you get our undying gratitude for helping us to do things that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. And in addition to that, you get your name on the ticker at the end of the show. And I want to...
And they get the access to the 2023 deliberation. And if we continue doing it, we just did a live stream last week, or was it last week? Walkabout mini golf with patrons.
Yep.
That's
true.
So we're going to try to do more, incorporate more for you guys, because you guys do, you help us out a lot. So we appreciate it.
That's a great point. We played Walkabout with some of our patrons last week. And yeah, we don't decide the winners of the end of the year awards on our own. We meet with our patrons every year in VR. Typically, it has always been big screen, but I think we might look at a different venue this year because I think we're starting to outgrow big screen. So we might actually pick a different spot this year. Maybe do VR chat or something.
We could do Zenith if we had to. We could fit a lot of people in there, right?
We'll have to hire some guards.
Oh, yeah.
To keep us safe.
That's true, and everybody would have to own the game, which is kind of a problem. So,
Well, yeah, Zenith wouldn't work because typically what we do is we bring my PC screen
no, that's true. We're gonna have
up on the wall, so that we can look at all the contenders and look up different things about the game, whether it be reviews or there's a lot of different information we look up as we deliberate.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to be part of that discussion, if you want to help decide what the games of the year are, then join our Patreon. Again, $3 per month is all we ask. And you can take part in this and all the other things we do with our patrons. Shout out, by the way, to Mark Finley. We lost a patron this week, Ruuts. And typically that would hurt a little more than what it is actually hurting. But Mark Finley upped his donation amount to the next tier. He's in the $10 tier now. So thank you, Mark, for helping us kind of absorb the loss of the patron.
Appreciate
left
that
this week.
You know, it's funny. It seems like that always happens, right? We always balance somehow. Like if it's not that, it's another person, or it's pretty cool actually how it all works out. So
yeah, we found our kind of level that we're at. We make about $150 a month on Patreon, and it stays there no matter how many people join or leave. It stays right at that line. So we appreciate it, all of you, very much. So thank you. And yeah, we're going to continue to do what we can to make it worth your time and money. So
right.
Let's see what's left. Oh, of course, if you don't have any money, that's certainly understandable in today's economy. Good thing is you don't need any money to join our Discord community, which is something we don't have to try to be more involved in, Ruuts, because we're already involved in Discord. We live there 24/7, 365. This is where we hang out. It's where we chill. We share music. We share stories. We share wives. Well, we don't share wives, but we share everything else for absolutely free on the Virtual Strangers Discord. There is an invitation link down below. All you have to do is click that, and you'll be whisked away into a magical land full of VR enthusiasts who love you, and they will greet you at the door. It's the best part of all this stuff that we do, and we invite you all to join us there. Absolutely free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of Discords, you can't find the people running there. It's about these people, and they're never there, and that's not the case here, right? We're always accessible. So.
Yeah, we're always there lurking. Like typically, we don't start a lot of conversations on there, but we chime in quite a bit. We don't have to start the conversations. People typically, whenever there's a bit of news or something interesting to talk about, people typically pop up and start talking about it. And then we just kind of slide in there and give our 2 cents, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I agree. It's the best part. The community is the best part of everything we do. And getting to hang out with everybody on a daily basis is cool.
Come for the VR gaming talk. Stay for the police chases.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think that's our show. And with that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye.
Take it easy.